with Slattery's of Pecan, your main Peugeot dealer for over 50 years in the Premier County. Slattery'sGarage.ie.
Good morning, welcome along to Tipp today. 1800 938 007. That's our free phone number. It won't cost you if you'd like to make a call to us. And Stephen is producing today. Coming up on the show, should the National Anthem be taught in our schools? Deputy Michael Lowry will join us to talk about the Thurles Sarsfields funding. Superintendent Eddie Golden on the new RSA crash map highlighting fatal, serious and non-serious road collisions across the county and indeed across the country as well. Thomas Conway has all of the latest global news. My musician friend Gay Brazel will be sharing tales and memories from life on the road. Lynch solicitors return with this week's legal slot. Relationship expert Susan O'Donoghue will be with us. All of that and much, much more. You can text and WhatsApp 083 311 3311. You can email tiptoday@tippfm.com. Let's have a look at the front pages of some of your newspapers. The Irish Independent and their lead story today, new figures show average earners are increasingly being forced to share as soaring rents push the private market out of reach. In Dublin, for instance, a two-bed apartment could wipe out 90% of the average income, with even a one-bed coming in at 71%. There's a photograph of the actress Precious Holloway on the front of the Indo as well, and we're told that Aer Lingus is being sued by the physically disabled American actor after her wheelchair was lost and later turned up damaged following a flight from Los Angeles to Dublin. The Irish Daily Mail and their lead story, patients with deadly skin cancer could soon benefit from a revolutionary vaccine that has been shown to slash the risk of their disease, returning by almost half, which is rather remarkable indeed. The Irish Examiner and the lead story on the Examiner today, sports clubs impacted by Cork Lewis should be compensated with extra facilities and playing fields. Transport Minister Darragh O'Brien has said. Also reading on the Examiner today that grooming and sextortion are among the growing concerns young people have when contacting Childline in Cork, with at least one teenager in distress daily over online interactions. And also on the Examiner, the end of the Examiner today, Fianna Fáil will consider any developments in relation to a party TD arrested on suspicion of drink driving in recent days. That's making reference to Malcolm Byrne, who was stopped by Gardaí in Dublin city centre at about 5 a.m. on Thursday and asked to take a breathalyser test. And finally, we have a look at the Irish Times, and their lead story is an international one. They're telling us that the US President Donald Trump last night declared a new ceasefire in Lebanon after the continuing conflict between Israel and Hezbollah had threatened to once again drag the entire region into another war. And we'll be touching on that with Thomas Conway later on. Also reading on the Times today that one of the largest professional mental health bodies has said that it cannot endorse the Health Service Executive's new autism protocol. And that's making reference to the College of Psychiatrists of Ireland. And seemingly they have several significant concerns about the scheme. And also on the Times today, the World Meteorological Organization has firmed up its forecast for a return of El Nino this summer, increasing the risk of record-breaking heat and extreme weather events until at least November. So there you go. That's a look at what's making headlines. Would you like to make comments on any of that? And if you would, 083 311 3311. Now, a motion passed by a Cork County Council is calling on the Minister for Education to make the teaching and singing of Aránavín a compulsory part of the weekly school curriculum in primary and secondary schools across the country. Members backed the proposal from Aontu Councillor Peter O'Donoghue, who joins me now. Good morning to you, Peter.
Good morning, Fran. How are you this morning?
I'm well, and thank you so much for making time for us today. You said that you put this forward as a motion, having observed, Peter, that many Irish people just can't sing our own national anthem.
Yeah, look, it's an observation I would have made, and I suppose if we're honest with ourselves, many of us don't know the national anthem off by heart, and it's quite obvious at matches that's the case. I suppose looking Croke Park, you have the writing up on the screen, but in other games, when you don't have the writing, the national anthem, I suppose it's more of a hum sometimes than a national anthem. So, look, I believe that is a failure of the Irish state to not ensure that every citizen of Ireland is able to sing the national anthem of Ireland. And look, what is our national anthem? It's a patriotical musical composition. It symbolises our country's history, our country's culture and values and heritage, and it instills national pride, and it serves as a sonic representation of the state. So I believe it's very important that every citizen and permanent resident of Ireland should know the national anthem of Ireland, and that is the reason I put forward the motion.
My only issue around it is that, it seems that whenever we have an issue with anything, we end up putting it back on our teachers and getting it back into schools. Is that fair, do you think, Peter?
Yeah, well, look, I suppose it was said to me that this is going to be an extra burden now on our teachers. I don't believe it's going to be an extra burden. I lived abroad for a number of years in different countries. I lived in Canada and Alberta, and I actually worked in schools over there, maintenance works in schools. And I remember one morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, on a Monday morning, and next thing, Canada was sang out by the whole school. And it was a powerful experience. And what they did there was they just stood up in their classroom, 9 o'clock in the morning, first thing, sang their national anthem, and then sat down and went on with their day, got on with their business. So it was 60 seconds out of their week that they sang the national anthem in their classroom.
And it was a moving occasion, was it, Peter, when you'd hear it? Was it?
Yeah, well, look, that was a Canadian national anthem, and it was a powerful thing to hear. And I think if something similar was done in our country, and if our students just once for 1 minute in the week stood up and sang a national anthem, well, there won't be an issue with people knowing the national anthem, because as a result of that, everybody in this country would know the national anthem and sing it loud and proud forevermore. Yeah,
is there not a thing in this country that we're almost ashamed of our heritage in some sort of a fashion? Is that not very real? Because certainly I hear from listeners on that all of the time.
Yeah, well, look, there is something, from what I can see, there's something psychological going on with our nation in relation to our own nation and our own heritage and our own culture, and we seem to kind of not embrace it. And when I speak about Canada, Canada is the most, I suppose, diverse country you could ever go to. There's all different nations in that country, from Afghanistan to Italy to Germany to Australia, you name it.
Very liberal country as well, of course.
Very liberal country. And they're all inside in that classroom, and they're singing the Canadian national anthem with pride. Because in Canada, all those different countries, you're still in Canada, and as the old saying goes, when in Rome, you have to live like the Romans. And that's not an issue with the people of those different nationalities over there. And I don't believe it'll be an issue with people of different nationalities in this country either. I actually talked to a lot of different people from different countries, and actually I was putting up flags in Fermoy there only a few weeks ago, and I got a lot of praise, and mostly from people from foreign nations, and they said, "Oh, that looks very nice, well done." Thank you.
So you wouldn't see this as divisive then in our multi-ethnic classrooms, because God knows they are multi-ethnic now, are they not? I mean, you wouldn't see this as dividing them in some way?
No, this wouldn't be divisive in any way, shape or form. This is Ireland, this is our country, this is our national anthem. These people are here in our country. In my opinion, they're very welcome to our country, as long as they're contributing to our society. But they should embrace themselves in our culture, in our nationalhood and our heritage, and just the singing of the national anthem in our classrooms would be one way of doing that.
I'm just thinking that many of them are able to opt out from Irish, for example, and here we have the national anthem, As Gaeilge. Do you see that might be an issue?
Well, I wouldn't believe that anybody should be able to opt out from Irish. Look, we have to look after our own culture and heritage and history and our own values, and this is Ireland. And look, I really, really don't think this is going to be an issue with immigrants to this country. Most immigrants understand, like I did when I was an immigrant in other countries. I understood that I was in another country now, and these people's countries, and I need to live the way these people live.
And the lyric itself, I mean, you'd have to. I know it's of its time, but it is rather bloodthirsty in its own way. And of course, it does mention the Saxon foe in there as well. It says, impatient for the coming fight as we wait till the morning light. Speak of whose lives are pledged for Ireland, and they speak about mid cannons roar and rifles peal. And it's bloodthirsty in its own way. Are you okay with that? By just making the point that it's of its time.
Yeah, well, look, I wouldn't say it's bloodthirsty. The chorus isn't that bloodthirsty. Then that's all I'll be asking that to be sang. And look, it was originally written in English. It's called The Soldier's Song. It was written by Peadar Carney.
Yeah.
The melody put together by his friend Patrick Heaney. And then it was translated to Irish by another friend, Liam O'Rin, all within 200 yards of each other in Dublin. And look, it was written in 1910. It became, I suppose, a song which gained major traction during the 1916 Rising and War of Independence. And then it was on the 12th of July, 1926, when it was officially adopted as Ireland's national anthem. So this is the 100-year anniversary of the adaptation of our Annuine as our national anthem. And I believe that this is the year that we should make it compulsory in our classrooms for our teachers to teach it to our students. And
how do you feel about the rugby team? Because it's a 32 county team, that it's not a rendezvous that's sung. How does that strike you, Peter?
Well, look, when it comes to rugby, it's a bit more complicated than this. We will sometimes our Annuine is sang and other times it's not, and other times it's Ireland's call. Look, I suppose you're involving the 6 counties in the north as well, and look, in my opinion, we're one country. But yeah, look, it's a complicated issue. Let's just say when you're bringing people who might have, let's say, unionists or loyalists, and it can be controversial. But I do believe that it should be sang the national anthem.
For some reason or other, I don't think the minister is going to go for this.
And I question that. I question why will our minister not go for this? And I understand, and look, when this was brought before Cork County Council, there was unanimous support for this motion. Unanimous support from Fianna Fáil, from Fine Gael, from Sinn Féin, from Social Democrats. Unanimous support. And this motion has been raised by other councillors as well. Donegal Mulcahy there in Waterford, Sinn Féin councillor, he raised this as well with the minister. And the minister kind of fobbed it off. And I don't find that acceptable, that this minister is fobbing off something which so many people are looking for. And the traction and the amount of support I have got in relation to this motion has been phenomenal throughout the country. It is quite obvious to me that the vast majority of people in Ireland would like their children to be able to learn the national anthem in school on a weekly basis, and that they would like to be able to know it themselves. And the Minister for Education, and I'll say this, she has failed in her responsibility to ensure that every Irish citizen is taught Ireland's national anthem in Irish classrooms throughout the country.
Yeah, well, she probably would say to you there's a lot more pressing issues where our classrooms are concerned than the national anthem. That might be her response to you, Peter, on that.
Yeah, well, look, they're quite good at fobbing off things and dismissing them and delegitimising them, but this is something that the vast majority of people throughout the country want, and I cannot understand why the Minister for Education won't make it mandatory.
It'll be interesting to see what happens where that is concerned, indeed. I think it's about a year ago on the programme, we had a major discussion about the national anthem, but it was the disrespect often shown to it. And I'm a musician as well, Peter, so I've seen it in pubs and clubs and stuff over the years. You know, people drunk, they either make a fool of themselves during it, or they don't know it, or they don't respect it in some way. Is that something that bothers you if the anthem is so close to your heart?
Well, it does, and where does that come from? That comes from a lack of education. That comes from a lack of awareness. And what I became aware of in the last few weeks is that people who went to school in the 60s and the 70s in Ireland, they sang the national anthem every week. Yeah. They learned the national anthem off by heart. They understood the importance of our national anthem. And for some reason, and I don't know why, the teaching of our national anthem was taken out of our schools. And as a result, now there's many people that don't know our national anthem, first of all, and many people who don't know the importance and the significance of our national anthem. And as a result, when the national anthem is played, be it in after a night out or even during a match, there's people who don't show our national anthem the respect it deserves. And that all goes back to our Department of Education and what they have failed to do.
Yeah, I'm just thinking how nationalist my days in school, Mr. Egan in Cashel insisted that we would know all these nationalist songs, and it was very important to him at the time. He made sure that we knew them. We are losing that. I'm not sure if the proclamation is even in the classes anymore, in the classrooms anymore, is it? I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of, and it's something that needs to be addressed. You know, we have our own national identity in this country. We have our own culture. We have our own.
Are we losing it, Peter? Are we? Because our listeners believe that we're losing it. I know I hear this on a weekly basis.
Well, look, I believe that as well. And look, I suppose we joined the European Union there, and we had our Taoiseach recently come out that we're European. You know, well, in my opinion, we're Irish first. This is the Irish nation. We fought for 800 years for our own independence, for our own sovereignty, for our own autonomy. And now we're seeing that all eroded away, and we're seeing European Union, which is becoming more federalistic, and we're just becoming a federal state of the European Union. And I see our national identity being eroded. I see our national anthem being diminished. I see our national flag being flown less often. I see so many things which is detrimental to our national identity. And me personally, and I think the vast majority of people in Ireland, we're Irish first and we're European second. And we should always look after our Irish culture and heritage.
All right. Interesting chat, Peter. Good to talk to you. And thanks very much for coming on with us today. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Fran.
Thank you. Good morning to you. That's Councillor Peter O'Donoghue who put forward that motion passed by Cork County Council calling on the Minister for Education to make the teaching and singing of Aran Navian a compulsory part of the weekly school curriculum. How do you feel about that? I'd love to know how you feel about that. 1800 938 007. Now we have a great competition for you again this week in association with our great friends at Mr. Menswear, and they have outlets at Casual and Care, and of course they will look after you from head to toe for every single occasion, every generation, and indeed every size as well. So a €200 voucher to give away on Friday. We are looking for a finalist every day this week, and it's a short week. So if you want to get in touch with us, and all you have to do is text or WhatsApp 083 311 3311. Put Mr. on your correspondence with us, and if you give us your name and your details then as well, we will have that draw a little later on. So that's 083 311 3311.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
At Macaulay Pharmacy, we've got you covered for allergy. Our range of allergy relief is available to alleviate common symptoms. Ask our pharmacy team about
The award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
And you're welcome back to Tip Today. A big thumbs up indeed for that idea of the National Anthem being taught in our schools. One of our listeners is saying in relation to the anthem, Fran, young people are craving a sense of belonging. It's a known fact. Clearly the singing of the anthem would bring a sense of community, belonging and pride, which is badly needed. It's a no-brainer. Somebody else saying, my children go to Terry Glass National School and they all learned the National Anthem last year. It's beautiful to hear children singing it together. On another note, I've been to many hurling matches where adults don't know the words of the anthem, says Babs. Well, you're dead right where that is concerned. It's something I would imagine we'll be getting back to. We heard last week that Thurles Sarsfields GAA has been approved for government funding of $2.4 million to upgrade the club's facilities at their Racecourse Road grounds. Deputy Michael Lowry is welcoming the news, and he joins me now. Good morning to you, Michael.
Good morning, Fran.
A great boost for the club. Much needed funds there.
Yes, well, it's wonderful news, and it's a great boost. It's a significant financial bonanza for the club, as they've been allocated 2.4 million under the Immigrant Investment Programme. Obviously, that offer of fund is subject to the conditions of the scheme. But this funding will allow, I suppose you could say, one of the greatest clubs in the history of the GAA to bring forward and to complete their construction programme. And the famous club will have facilities to match their rich history and legacy. Sarsfields, Fran, if you're passing there, you've seen they have already achieved major progress at its new grounds with investment of close to 1.5 million. A lot of work has been done. So this new funding will expedite the completion of their ambitious plans, which have already been drawn up. And when completed, they will have a centre of excellence for its members and for the entire community. It will be a significant boost to the local economy, and it will allow young and old people the opportunity to participate in sport and leisure activities at their centre. So, Fran, if you go back on this, credit would have to be given to the previous club officers for their vision and indeed for the courage that they've shown in purchasing the land and beginning the project. And that happened in 2013 under the chairmanship of Michael Lowry when they purchased that 15 acres of land. And then it continued under the chairmanship of John Cahill. They at that stage entered into the IIP and made an application. And John was ably supported, and the key people at that time were Thomas Callan, John Smith and Tom Barry. So that initiative then has been carried on by the current officer board, who have been fundraising and progressing the development. And those officers have done excellent work in preparing playing pitches, embankment. They've put in recently a special surface walking track, which is used and enjoyed by many people from the town and parish. And like we all know at this stage how difficult it is to get volunteers, so the club are very fortunate, very lucky to have excellent young men as leaders in David O'Dwyer, John Maher and Sean Smith and the committee. They're very diligent, they're competent, and I'm absolutely satisfied that they'll carefully manage the fund, that they'll spend it wisely and oversee the implementation of a first-class development.
What about the final compliance procedures that are there? I mean, it's not absolutely guaranteed yet until these procedures are adhered to, Michael. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Before I answer that, could I just say also that the club, and this is very important in pulling down funds or applying for applications, the club is notable for the contribution that women make at all levels of the club activity. Sarsi's camogie and ladies football are encouraged and supported. Both codes are strong and advancing, and we know this year and other years that Sarsi's camogie has had great success and is building for further success. Now, in relation to it's first of all, the club will meet the criteria. The club have no difficulty in doing that. The funders have been assessed, have been analysed, have been evaluated, and everything is above board and bona fide. So this development will happen. There's nothing that the club have to do that they weren't already aware of and committed to doing.
There's been some other clubs across the county expressing disappointment at not being able, Michael, to access similar financial lifelines, I suppose, because they are lifelines for these clubs as well. Can you understand that disappointment?
I can. But first of all, in relation to this, there are two other applicants from Tipperary. One has been requested for additional information and clarification. The second, in another case, they have to prove that it meets the inclusivity, the local community engagement aspect of the scheme. So they have been in contact with me, and we're working to see what we can do to support and assist them. But of course, it's important to remember that the scheme is now closed, and obviously that's a great pity that the scheme is discontinued. There was and is successful stories, ventures that have had good outcomes and economic benefits. And we have outstanding developments work that were funded by this scheme in Tipperary.
A lot of negative stigma around the particular scheme, though. I know the Sinn Féin branch, said it was cash for visa sort of a scheme as well. So some negative stuff around the scheme itself.
Yes, there is, and I would say from the word go, the scheme was probably badly designed. It was too loose, and it was open to manipulation. Unfortunately, some agents took advantage of the loopholes and, by their actions, destroyed the integrity of the programme. And what it brings into feature here, I suppose, is that first that Irish residency, Irish citizenship, Irish passports, they're very much respected and valued across the world. And we probably don't realise it, Fran, but Irish passport is a treasure document.
Well, of course, but the nature, the idea of being able to purchase it almost in some sort of a way would be really unfortunate, wouldn't it?
Well, look, Irish passports, as I said, they're a treasure document. They open up and make travel easy across Europe and the continents. Irish passports are much sought after and in huge demand. So the principle of the scheme, Fran, when it was opened approximately 11 years ago, was good, but unfortunately it has been abused. The scheme commenced in 2012, and from 2012 to 2023 there was 1,400 applicants and subscribers to the value of approximately $1 billion. And the scheme attracted a lot of governance attention by agencies in Ireland and the European Commission. And here in Ireland, we've had a number of investigations and allegations, system abuse. We also saw projects collapse because investors didn't come up with the money, or in other cases there were strong suspicions about the true identity of the investors and the real motivation behind the transaction. And that's what brought the attention of the authorities in Ireland and in Europe to the scheme. So, what happened then is the then Minister for Justice in February 23 closed the scheme, and it remains closed and probably unlikely to ever be restored. But in early 2023, I was one of many who argued strongly that the community groups and the sports groups who had already made applications, that they should be allowed to avail of the programme if they met with the criteria. So in February 2023, it was agreed politically that all applicants in the system would be adjudicated on.
Right. And this windfall for Thurles Sarsfields, was that part of your deal with the government in some way?
No, it wasn't part of the deal, but we made it political. At the time, when I heard that the scheme was closed, I was aware that Thurles Sarsfields and other clubs that I was supporting were part of the scheme, had made applications for the scheme. So while I accepted the scheme was going to be closed, because at that particular time it became evident that 94% of the applicants were actually all Chinese. So there was, the scheme was seen by them as useful to them, and I suppose to a certain extent was abused by some of them. So at that stage we had to find a political solution, and it was agreed that all the current applications in the system would be adjudicated on. And obviously there has been a far more in-depth due diligence. There has been a rigorous process put in place and applied. And because of this, decisions took time and delays occurred. And the assessment process is obviously broader and tighter. So now we have got to the stage, recently reached a point where genuine investors have been vetted and approved. These valid applications have been matched against clubs and organisations who have solid development plans, and the successful clubs have received confirmation of funding subject to meeting the criteria of the scheme.
I was just talking to Stephen about this earlier on, Michael, and he was making a very good point indeed, that it really is an unmatched sporting quarter now. If you take Semple Stadium, the Greyhound Stadium, Satanta College, the new tennis club there, the Thurles Racecourse, and now new facilities hopefully at Thurles Sars, it's really turned into a sporting quarter, hasn't it?
Well, actually, Thurles has turned into a sporting quarter. It has turned into an educational hub. And all of those facilities are attached to those. Like Stephen is correct, we have in that corner of the town there, we have the stadium, and as Stephen outlined, we have Thurles Crokes. We also have the college. And then across, we have, I'm involved in a major development there at the moment in the Morris Park, which will be developed as a centre of excellence for all of Tipperary. I think that's going to be a major boost for sport in the area and for the GA and for the local economy. And as I said, we have a lot of educational facilities in Thurles with the Technological College, with St. Patrick's, MIC, then we have the training centre out in Archerstown. So Thurles is active, Thurles is vibrant, Thurles is progressing, and it's mainly, as I said, because of the influx of young people for educational purpose into the town, who are a very important part of the economy of the town now as well.
Before I let you go, full-time carers, they will receive their grant payment. Is that this week?
Yes, the annual support grant of €2,000 will be paid this Thursday through the nominated post office or directly to a bank account. That grant is exempt from all taxes. It will be paid automatically to those in receipt of carers allowance, carers benefit, or the domiciliary care allowance. And what it is, Fran, is a financial gesture to recognise the commitment and the vital role that our carers contribute to those that need support within our families and throughout our communities. In Tipperary, 6,087 people will receive the payment. It is as part of the last budget also, the measures were introduced to improve the weekly income disregard for carers allowance. In other words, to make it easier for people to access carers allowance and not to have a prohibition on them in relation to income. This becomes effective from the 1st of July. So that's a step forward in acknowledging the enormous role played by carers, and currently discussions have started on the next budget, and I expect that further progress on the income disregard will be made in this year's budget in line with a commitment that is in the programme for government.
All right, Michael, good to talk to you today. Thanks for your time. Thank you. Good morning to you. That's Deputy Michael Lowry speaking to us this morning. 1800 938 007. The text and WhatsApp is 083 311 3311.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Hey, it's Stephen. Join me just after Tipp Today with the time tunnels. We'll try and figure out the years in Tipperary. I've also got the final countdown and the head scratcher. Join me just after Fran.
Matters to us. Call Tipp Today on 1800 938 007.
And you're very welcome back to Tipp Today. Keep your calls coming into us on 1800 938 007. That's a free phone number if you want to talk to our Stephen, who is producing today. Now, I'm delighted to be joined in the studio, first of all, by Superintendent Eddie Golden, and he has some guests with him. Good morning to you, Eddie.
Good morning, Fran. Good morning, listeners.
And it's good. So you filled up the studio for me today. Will you tell us who's
I did.
with us?
I'm a little bit unannounced, Fran, actually, but the reason we're here today is really important because we have a major Garda trainee recruitment drive which was launched in May. The deadline for submissions of the applications, final applications, are tomorrow at 3 p.m, Wednesday the 2nd of June. And on the back of that, I think it's really important that we promote on Garda Síochána, promote the, still a job worth doing is the byline that we have on it. But, I firmly believe it's still a very good organisation. We have some fantastic people in the organisation. And this morning, what I've done is we just have a little bit of a sample, Fran, from, we've Teresa, who's an instructor in the Garda College with us. Mm-hmm. And we have then two recruits, trainees, Paul, I suppose we're calling them now. Yeah, Jade and Paul are here as well with us. And again, you just get a flavour of, different stages that they're at as well and how they're finding their experience in Garda Síochána.
That's great. Just for clarity, Teresa, and by the way, it's Sergeant Teresa that's with us today. For clarity, the criteria, if I want to become a guard, what is that criteria?
Yes, yeah. So if you wish to join and become a member of An Garda Síochána, you must be aged between the ages of 18 and 49, so under the age of 50 by the application deadline, which is tomorrow. You know, you have to hold a leaving certificate or the equivalent of. You know, you must be living here 1 year in Ireland and be of good character, I suppose. Common sense, you know, is always a great trait, and to be interested in your community. Assertive, approachable and reliable, trustworthy kind of a character.
Indeed. And in your experience, the people you're getting in nowadays, because the age limit has changed, of course, and indeed who you're getting in, much more diverse than it used to be. The quality of the people you're getting, Teresa?
Absolutely, yeah. High quality, you know, decent people coming in, joining An Garda Síochána from all walks of life, different parts of the world, different parts of Ireland, and the age then absolutely, yes, is from 18 to 49. So a wealth of experience, I suppose, people joining us in the Garda College.
Very good indeed. Jade, at what stage are you now? You're out in a station, are you?
Yeah, I'm out in my training station in Thurles at the moment, so I'm on stage 2 of phase 1. So I was in the college, started in February, and now I'm out again for, I think, 9 weeks in the station, 2 weeks online and a week off. Then I have to go back into the college afterwards, and then I test then in October.
Very good indeed. What made you decide on this path for a career?
I have 2 family members in the Guards as well, and I've always wanted to join the Guards, but I was going to go to college first, because I just did my Leaving Cert last June. Right. And then I decided I think it's just better off I just go straight into it, because I knew it's always what I wanted to do. So I applied then last September and got in then in February.
It's amazing. You always wanted to do this.
Yeah, always. There was always a little piece of me that always wanted to do. Yeah, always. Yeah. I'm happy that I went straight into it.
That's great. And is it everything you thought it might be?
Yeah, and better.
And better?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. Okay. And the college experience of it, for example, would you just give us a taste of that?
Yeah, so you're in there Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and then 8 to 4 on a Friday. So you get to go home and you can come back on the Sunday night or else a Monday morning before 8:30. And it's great. You get 3 meals a day and you wear your uniform all day, Monday to Friday. You have classes, you have a bit of exams, you have a lot of group work, a lot of teamwork, which helps, especially when you're out in the training station then, because you obviously have to work in a unit together. Yeah. So that helps a lot as well. And same with the exams. There's a good few exams, but the instructors are very helpful in there if you need any help.
What was it like to put the uniform on for the first time?
It was weird looking at yourself in the mirror, with the uniform on, all right. But you just get so used to it then, and it's a privilege to have it on every day.
Yeah, it's a lovely thing to say. And would you recommend it to other young women?
Oh, 100%, yeah. Because I was a bit nervous going in, being so young, because I thought there might be many people my age in there, but there's all different types of ages in there, and you'll meet your friends for life in there no matter what age you are.
Very good indeed. Paul Mulcahy is with us as well. Good morning to you, Paul. At what stage are you at, Paul?
I'm at a slightly, maybe the other end of the age spectrum. I'm in my 40s. Yeah. And I suppose I was nervous about going in as well, but probably for different reasons. I suppose, look, the earlier part of my career to date would have been a lot of banking and finance and that kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah, so look, I suppose, it's something I would have had one eye in the past, and then look, but previously the age limit was 35. Yes. So I suppose, look, life happens and different things happen. And
what, you always had a bit of a grow for it?
Well, yeah, I had a couple of friends who joined it, and, I was kind of always, familiar with it. But look, I went down a different route, and, you're in a job, and next, you're getting married and you have a house, and, all this kind of stuff. Yes, yeah. Children come along and that kind of stuff. And I have 2 children that are here with me today. But I'd forgotten about it then, if you like, to be honest, because look, I'd passed 35, and that's just being honest. And then it was up from 35 up to 50, basically. So I re-looked at it, and said give it a go. And
with the greatest of respect to our friends here, I would imagine finance and banking would be a lot more lucrative than the force. So, I mean, this is a labour of love for you, I guess, is it?
Well, what appealed to me is the variety. Yeah. And look, there is. I can even see already, like, there is huge variety in it. Yeah. Like, even as late as the other day, we were called out on a high-speed chase out to a neighbouring town. And on the way back in, we picked up 2 nuns whose car has broken down.
So everything across the
And they said, we knew you were going to come. And I said, how did you call the 999 or whatever? Oh no, they said, we prayed to St. Anthony. So, there you go. And that's the job. Like, I mean, you never know from one second to the next.
And can I ask you what I asked Jade as well? Putting on the uniform for the first time, can you remember?
I remember vividly, because it was a Friday morning. We do what's called parade on a Friday morning. So that was the first day that we were told to have our uniform on. So it was all lads out in the hallway ironing pantses at half time that night and ironing shorts. And parade is when you have to be exactly prim and proper, and you know all that. And that was our first time wearing it.
Yeah.
And after that, then, as Jade said, I mean, she summarised it brilliantly. But you wear it every day.
And going in a little bit older.
A lot older, you could say.
Was that daunting?
It is daunting, yeah.
Even
financially.
Even the fitness aspect?
Yeah,
of it all,
a little bit, yeah. I went to a personal trainer for about a month before I went in, to be honest. Yeah, just to brush up on it. Yeah. There's a certain fitness level you have to hit.
Yeah.
So look, I'm thereabouts. And throughout then, that's monitored. Which you know, and you do get to do a bit of fitness when you're in there, which is good.
Yes.
But no, it is daunting. It's even a little bit financial. You just have to plan for it. You know, but look, it is a relatively short time. You know, it's 36 weeks start to finish.
And because of your background in finance, will you go into a niche in the Gardaí, or will you be on patrol in a station, or do you know?
That might be up to my supervisors in time. Who knows?
You see, already he has a very much of a Garda answer to that.
But actually, that's what my friend said to me. Like when I was contemplating going in, I said, "Look," he just said, "Look, you know me, I'm a life in your Guard. What do you think?" And he just said, "Look, there's something for everybody in the Guards."
Yeah,
and that was, I think that's a fair enough statement.
That's great. Yeah. It's a great endorsement, Eddie, isn't it? You know, to hear the two lads speaking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, I think that's what it's all about. And really, look, and Garda Síochána has always been an organisation which has given, you know, massive opportunities to anybody who wants to progress. And again, it's the diversity the lads have talked about, the community impact you can have, the autonomy you have as an individual guard. So, you know, the team element is really well, but you know, even as an individual, the difference you can make to people's lives is, you know, it's very hard to measure that at times, and it's great to hear the lads' enthusiasm for the job. And again, we're the Garda College as well, and Teresa is in there, and I spent time in there as well. You know, that college works on a really high standard institution which are producing the best possible candidates we have and recruits coming out. But we're unique in some ways. Like, we're guaranteeing you a job at the end of it. There's no other college in this country that guarantees you a pensionable job. And again, look, with that then comes, you know, you may be stationed anywhere in the country, but Ireland is still a very small country. So, you know, and they're the things that when I was joined in Garda Síochána, you know, when you're stationed somewhere for the first time, you just get on with it, and you know, the job then becomes part of what you're doing. You're learning your trade. It's like a trade as well, and the better you get with it. And Paul is talking about moving on, and maybe when you mentioned about his financial thing, in time that could come out in some other different way, or even in a normal Garda's duties, when you're dealing with different incidents, you know, that piece of experience you bring in might be the difference between solving a crime or not solving a crime,
course.
or giving advice to somebody else.
And with respect to all that's why it's great to bring in people of a slightly older age bracket, isn't it? You know, because they're bringing a life experience with them, of course, as well. You know.
Yeah, I think that was always the way as well, and we always find that, you know, we've everybody now from just school leavers, college leavers, up to with the age obviously up to 49 or 50 now. But I think with that, experience and people skills are probably the fundamentals which Garda Síochána has always relied on. And even in the most you know, and I suppose it's a challenging career, but in the most challenging situations, it's those people skills that really come to the fore and are the ones that stand to all members of Garda Síochána of how we can manage people. An unarmed police force, when I go around the I suppose the world is a bit of a strong one, but when I go on my travels and I meet American police officers or whatever, they cannot understand how we are unarmed. And now obviously we have those extra specialist units now who give us that piece of reassurance, and we have our armed support units and emergency response units. But again, it's the fundamentals of policing in Ireland, policing in the cities and the countries and the towns, the satisfaction it can give you personally as well, but also it's that whole public service aspect to it.
And opportunity and all that. Can you remember your first time in the college, Teresa?
I can, absolutely, yes. Yeah. I joined in 2000, and I'm going to say it was July, the 24th of July. I can actually remember, the year 2000, so 26 years ago now.
So you would have seen a lot of changes, I guess, in that time.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, all for the good. You know, progress being made all the time, and it is a job full of many opportunities. I was based in Kerry all my service, and I began working as a guard instructor in 2014. So very happy in my role, but prior to that, experience now that I would rely on when I'm in class, to speak about.
And you would, I know you will say, give me a positive on this, but you would recommend the career, I guess.
Absolutely,
Teresa,
yes, yeah, it is.
And to women?
Oh, yes, for sure. I suppose at the moment in An Garda Síochána, 1/3 of our members are women.
Yes.
They are female members. And yes, I have only all positive,
Yeah, and can you remember the first day putting on the uniform?
I can remember coming in that day.
Can you,
and yes, we would have got our uniform pretty soon enough as well. I think you got yours in the first week or two. Yeah. But yeah, very proud. Yes.
In all the years I know you, I don't think I asked you, Eddie. I mean, was it always something you wanted?
It was, Friday.
See, I knew you as a musician when you were a young lad.
I know,
see, and I thought you were going to go on that, the devil's path.
I know.
But yeah.
No, it was always something that was in my head.
Was it? Yeah.
When I applied, 1988 actually, I applied. I was 12 days too young, so I had to wait. 1991 then there was a recruitment campaign and I applied there, and I had to wait 3 years at that stage before you got in, so it was 1994 before I got in. So I obviously worked in the interim and got a bit more experience. And look, when I joined, I suppose it was all that piece, and being honest, look, that extra piece of experience has always stood to me, and even the music has stood to me, Fran. In a different way, obviously, when you can use your skill sets in different ways
with communities and with community
with the community engagement, and I've seen how the music has been very good to me over the years. And I remember being told actually before I joined that I was going to have to give up the music because you're going to be you can't be in pubs and stuff like that, and I was kind of a bit curious with that, but so I ignored that piece of advice and to the betterment of myself and obviously the people that you can
but again, it's like Paul's experience with the finance. I mean, you brought an experience to it as well. Everybody brings something to it, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's the quality of the people we're getting at the moment. They're coming from all different backgrounds, all different life experiences. But fundamentally, when we join An Garda Síochána, you're joining an organisation. It's changing. It has changed fundamentally for me 32 years ago since I joined now.
Yeah.
And when you look at the different, but people have changed. Society has changed. And we have to move at those times, and we have those people out there who would always, there's the positive and the negative experience. Most people always remember the negative experience. They're kind of forget about the positive ones, but we have a lot of positive engagement with the communities out there. We are there 24/7, 365 days a year. I've often said this as well. People, if their house is on fire, they ring the guards first before they ring the fire brigade. That is where in people's psyche, we are there to help.
That's after praying to St. Anthony, as Paul says.
I'll pray to St. Anthony, which is one of the better ones I've heard.
Very important as well, yeah, for sure. Teresa, if you still have time if there's people interested, so it's tomorrow, isn't it?
Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, yes. Yeah. That is the...
so what do you do if you're interested? How do you go about
to apply? You can apply on publicjobs.ie, or you can simply look up on Garda Síochána and it'll just bring you straight in to apply and to fill it out. And there is other aspects before that. I mean, you will have a fitness test that you'll have to do, a medical, an interview, and a competency based test as well to do.
Very good indeed. When will you be fully fledged, so to speak, Jade?
I'll be attested on the 16th of October. So I started in February and be finished in October then, and then you'll be on 2 years probation when I finish.
Very good. And you, Paul?
Same, yeah.
Same. Okay, right. Well, we want to wish you all the very, very best of luck. Indeed, put on your music hat on you, because a couple of days' time you're doing a big fundraiser in Brew, aren't you?
We have a fundraiser coming up this Thursday, Fran, for the daycare centre. So, absolutely delighted to be invited again to sing with Louise Morrissey, Des Willoughby, Jimmy Farrell, and more guests on the night. So look, it's always a great event. I wasn't around for it last year, so I'm delighted to be there this year. So we're hoping we'll have a full house.
I'm sure you will indeed. Best of luck to you with that. Lovely to meet you, Paul and Jade and Teresa, and thanks very much indeed. Thanks, Eddie, as always. Thanks very much indeed. Tá nuach to August and all chucked.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Hi. Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Thanks, Pat. Welcome back to the second hour of Tipp Today. Now, at the top of the programme, I spoke to Councillor Peter O'Donoghue, who was the person behind that motion passed by Cork County Council calling on the Minister for Education to make the teaching and singing of Around the Vian compulsory. in our schools. And as I say, big reaction to that. One of our listeners saying, anytime I'm social dancing, Fran, we finish off with the National Anthem and we almost sing it proudly. And God knows I can attest to that. Somebody else saying, there's nothing wrong with our anthem. What are we supposed to do? Forget everything that's Irish to suit everybody else. If someone disrespects it, they have absolutely no manners. Well, in fairness, I would have seen a lot of disrespect to the anthem from Irish people over the years in pubs and clubs, and that's for sure. I started school in the 1950s, Fran. I learned our national anthem in Irish at that point, and I will never forget it. Well, there you go. 083 311 3311. It's time for Global News now. Glad to be joined by Thomas Conway, as usual. Thomas from the Nina Guardian. Good morning to you, Thomas.
Good morning, Fran.
Good to see you. You met a rather famous former politician recently.
I bumped into Nicola Sturgeon, the former First Minister of Scotland, on my travels. It was early on Friday morning in Shannon Airport. I was in England for a few days. And she was heading over. Now, she had been at the Listowel Writers' Festival, she told me. She was subsequently on the BBC, their flagship Sunday morning television programme, and she defended herself against the controversy she's in.
She's in muddy water, isn't she?
Sure, muddy waters. Her husband embezzled funds, and she has taken part of the blame for it. But she came across, I have to say, as very courteous, very ordinary.
But she had a chat, and
she had a chat, which was nice of her. And I suppose as a politician, she's used to encounters like that, meeting with people. But I have to say, from the few minutes I was with her, I was impressed with her.
Very good indeed. Well, fair play to you for walking up and saying hello. Since Denmark's general election, we've been waiting on the formation of a government. We have that now.
Mette Frederiksen, the Danish Prime Minister, will go on to a third term as Prime Minister. Part of a coalition government, 3 parties. People might remember it was the Moderate Party, led by a charismatic kind of a guy, Luca Rasmussen, who were the kingmakers there. They've obviously decided to go in with Frederiksen is forming a government. It's a coalition government. Now, it's interesting because her party had the worst results, I think, since something like 1903. So it was not a good election result from her perspective, but she's managed to stay in charge, and they will lead the next Danish government now.
It's interesting. How different is the Soc Dems in Denmark to our version of Social Democrats? Because I'm just thinking of the difference between the Greens, for example, in the UK and the Greens in Ireland. Is that a very different ideology?
There's a sharp contrast, I think, to say the least.
Right.
The Social Democrats in Denmark they're most noted because they've taken a very hard stance on immigration, on migration, almost a hard right stance. You could
very
call it.
different.
So very different from the Holly Cairns version of our Social Democrats.
Well, would they still be seen as left-leaning and liberal?
To an extent, to an extent. I think they're more pragmatic than a lot of left-leaning parties across the continent. They've kind of responded to the body politic and to what people are asking for. So hard line stance on immigration, but liberal in other respects,
Very interesting indeed. And our friend Donald Trump last night declared a new ceasefire in Lebanon after the continuing conflict between Israel and Hezbollah had threatened to once again drag that entire region, Thomas, into yet another war. I believe that phone call with Netanyahu left
quite
little to be said.
A furious exchange, if you're to believe the reporting.
Expletives?
Axios are reporting that he got extremely angry at Netanyahu, that he essentially said that everybody hates Israel. And what is Netanyahu doing? He'd be in prison were it not for Trump's intervention. And it's all very interesting because the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, is probably going to be dissolved today or this week with a view to holding an election in the early autumn. So Israelis are heading into an election campaign. Netanyahu is heading into an election campaign. He's fought 12 of them and he's emerged as the kingmaker or the leader on several occasions now. He's age 76. But it's very interesting. Like, Donald Trump is clearly getting impatient. And he has shown that, for all the influence Israel has, he can lean on Netanyahu when he wants to, when he really pushes himself.
Did he stop a major hit on Beirut?
I think he probably has. Yeah, because I think Netanyahu wanted to bomb Beirut, and that was certainly the intention. Southern Lebanon, they captured Beaufort Castle, which is a historic castle ruins in southern Lebanon over the weekend. But Trump managed to intervene there, and he issued a statement on Truth Social saying that neither side. He spoke to Hezbollah as well, of course.
Well, I was just going to bring that up with you. How historic is that?
Yeah.
So they go direct to Hezbollah.
Yeah, it's almost without precedent, and I suppose for all the critiques people make of Trump, he does talk to people. He is open to talking to both sides. I mean, that would be unthinkable for a previous US president to talk to a terrorist organisation. But yeah, Trump seemingly had contact with Hezbollah directly, and he suggested that they had agreed to stop bombing as well.
Right. So Trump has the primaries coming up, voting in Israel as well. I mean, they all have to get their act together, have they?
They do, really. I mean, the domestic audience now suddenly will become pivotal in both respects. I mean, I was reading a piece over the weekend about Trump and the senior Republican senators. There's about 12 of them that are on the way out. They're either standing down or they've lost primaries and can't contest the midterms, and a lot of them are dissenting against Donald Trump now. They're saying like they've had enough, and because they've nothing to lose, they're critiquing him. Meanwhile, in Israel, I think there is, we mentioned before, there's a new political party formed by one former prime minister and another opposition leader.
Yes.
People, I suppose, a lot of people would hope that if a new Israeli government were to take charge, they would moderate their foreign policies a little bit. Even though I can't see that dramatic a change happening, I think a lot of Israelis are on the same page. They mightn't agree with everything Netanyahu does. They mightn't agree with his far-right coalition. But certainly when it comes to attacking Hezbollah, they seem to be all for it, because they say Hezbollah poses a threat to people in northern Israel. And similarly, Iran poses a threat to the entirety of Israel. So, domestic political calculations will come into play over these next few months.
A couple of other things you've been looking at for us, and I find one aspect of what you're going to talk to us about particularly interesting. That is the whole new shape of war, Thomas, how technology has transformed the battlefield, and it has to a certain extent, except that we're still hearing about largely young men dying on the front.
Yeah, and to give you statistics, bullets and bombs killed nearly 750,000 people in wars between 2021 and 2024 in a three-year period. I mean, that is absolutely staggering. But the broader point that war has transformed, it has, and in a very rapid space of time. I mean, if you reverse back to the start of the Russia-Ukraine war in 2022, there was kind of a lot of conventional fighting. You were hearing about soldiers taking, a couple of kilometres of land and the frontline battles. And then it evolved very, very quickly, dramatically, within the space of a few years, to a situation where drone warfare and the use of aerial drones, unmanned drones, has become pivotal in terms of attacking the enemy.
And these surgical strikes.
Yeah, and that's what really strikes. And it has brought, what it has done is it's made soldiers more exposed on the battlefield. And that's really, that's really interesting. But I think it has increased the intimacy of war. If you get me, I'll paint an example. There was a video over, I'm not sure when I saw it, but basically soldiers are now able to target people precisely using drones. So they'll be operating the drone from a command station. They'll be able to zero in on the opposition soldier and kill him, basically execute him.
From another country.
From another country, essentially. Now, you can contrast that to the usual way in which it takes place, in which you drop a bomb on a building and multiple people would die. But it makes the whole thing more real when you can look an enemy soldier in the eye and then pull the trigger from a distance, from a remote location. I mean, that is frightening, and it raises all kinds of questions about morality and all that.
I was watching a movie about it only a couple of nights ago, and I can't remember what the name of the movie was, but it was exactly what we're talking about there. But a young child came into the sphere of attack as they were looking.
Yeah, I think I've seen the film. I can't bring it up either, though.
I just can't remember the name of the movie. But again, the whole morality of it, and the whole emotion of it.
And it raises profound questions in that regard. And then the psychological trauma.
On even the people perpetrating.
On the perpetrators, I mean, I read another piece over the weekend about an Israeli soldier who just could not process what he had done and what his military had done in Gaza. This was, attempting to repent. But, he was psychologically traumatized and psychologically damaged by it. And for the likes of Ukraine, for the likes of Israel and Gaza, I mean, what's going to happen in a few years' time when you have soldiers returning from the front line, heavily traumatized by their experience on the battlefield, people who have blood on their hands, and try to integrate then into civil society? I think it could create all sorts of problems, both
post-traumatic
stress in terms of maybe crime and stuff like that as well. So there's a whole other dimension to this. I mean, war is bad, that's stating it plainly, but it has become ever more sophisticated.
And what has it done to the laws of war? Now, I know the laws of war were always thrown out, indeed, by all sorts of parties over history. But what about now, where that is concerned?
Like, I think I think it's evident they're increasingly under strain. And you could start with the rhetoric coming from leaders like Mr. Trump, where, he almost take satisfaction in the downing of Navy vessels or in the bombing of targets and stuff like that. And then what Israel has done in Gaza and increasingly Lebanon. And what Russia is doing. And there are numerous examples. I mean, there are such things as the laws of war. People or militaries are confined to targeting combatants, but that has been utterly ignored, and civilian casualties are way up relative to.
Right, but is it worse than it was?
You see, I think it seems worse than it was. Maybe it's because it seems more real to all of us, because we're seeing these images on social media circulating in real time of bombing taking place and people being killed.
Well, there were many atrocities throughout World War II, World War I, and all of the other wars, and in the 1990s, God knows, as well. So I'm just wondering, is it just that we can see this so vividly on our screens now, Thomas?
I think that is. I think that is an element in it. I mean, wars are vicious, and it's an appalling. It's an appalling vista the world right now. When you look to the Middle East and then look to other theatres of war, it's all very frightening. But you could probably argue, it's no worse than in times past.
Right, will you stay with me for a moment, because I must take a break. Back with Thomas in just a little while.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
They're celebrating 80 wonderful years of Ireland. Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, puck on. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Welcome back to Global News, and Thomas Conway from The Guardian is still with me. To Colombia then, what's happening there, Thomas?
Yeah, we had a presidential election first round on Sunday. Very interesting. Two candidates have emerged from it. A kind of a hard right figure called Abelardo de la Espriella, and then a left-wing candidate, Ivan Cepeda. And as it stands, just judging by the results of the first vote, it looks like the right-wing guy, de la Espriella, is on course to become Colombia's next president, which would be very interesting when you consider that the president, their current president, outgoing president, Gustavo Petro, is a leftist who had, I suppose, acrimonious relations with Donald Trump, even though they had a meeting at the White House earlier in the year, and the tension seemed to cool somewhat. But, I mean, Colombia is a country that has a history of political violence. There was somebody assassinated last year, a presidential candidate. They struck an agreement in 2016, a kind of a landmark agreement with the FARC guerrilla movement, and they were essentially a guerrilla movement responsible for all sorts of atrocities. An agreement was struck in 2016, but it has gradually, I won't say disintegrated, but it has gradually been broken down since then, and the country has slid back into violence and unrest, and that was the backdrop to this election.
Of course, but the gangs and the drugs, huge issue.
Yeah, people, I mean, a lot of people associate Colombia with cocaine because it's one of the world's largest producers of cocaine. There's also things like illegal gold mining that goes on, and the gangs are responsible for all of this. So the two candidates put forward contrasting approaches. The leftist guy said he wanted to negotiate a peace agreement. He had this total peace strategy, which he wanted to pursue. A little bit like Petro, the current president. The right-wing guy, of course, has a hard line on crime and wants to tackle the gangs, wants to use all the powers at his disposal to tackle and confront the gangs.
And that's what people want to hear, I guess. Is it part of Latin America's kind of rightward shift?
Yeah, and if it does occur, if this guy Del Espriella is elected, it will be another component, I think, of a wave of right-wing leaders and right-wing sentiment that's washing over Latin America. I mean, when you think about it, you have Milei in Argentina, you have there's a president of Ecuador, Condé Nast in Chile, and various other countries across the continent, and you kind of wonder, it's interesting to speculate why. But I think Latin America has an uncomfortable relationship with kind of leftist regimes and stuff like that. Just historically in the recent past. And
is that because historically they were dictatorships? Is that?
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, think of places like Argentina, Brazil, places like that. And the impact that had on the economy. There's probably a fear of leftist figures getting into power. Yeah. So rightward shift across the continent. It is very interesting. Now this guy is an admirer. The guy in Colombia is an admirer of Donald Trump, but Donald Trump didn't endorse him, which was very interesting. Maybe he's deciding to wait until a result becomes more clear cut, until he thinks this guy is going to win. But he has refused to endorse him so far. So that's interesting.
What's happening in Ethiopia? Because the Prime Minister is ambitious there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very ambitious, and he's a Nobel laureate. He won the Nobel Peace Prize a couple of months after he came into office, I think in 2018, for for improving Ethiopia's relationship with Eritrea, which is a small country on its border in the Horn of Africa. Now, Ethiopia is Africa's second largest country by population, 136 million or something like that. And this guy, Abiy Ahmed, he talked a very good game when he first came into power, and there was a lot of hopes around him. And of course, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. But since then, he has gradually personalised power. He has used kind of his authoritarian instincts to, I won't say turn Ethiopia into a dictatorship, but there's an election. There was an election yesterday. Results are just emerging. But it wasn't really an election. It was almost not a sham vote, but it was quite clear that Ahmed was going to emerge. He's going to emerge as the winner. And so this raises all sorts of questions about the robustness of democracy in Ethiopia, and where this guy is headed, because I think he wants to become a long-time leader. He's still relatively young. I think he wants to lead Ethiopia long into the future.
Myanmar, well, what's happening there?
Yeah, I mean, at least 55 people killed and dozens injured by an explosion in a village in Nakam Township in Myanmar. And Myanmar, of course, has its own struggles. As we well know, a military junta in charge there. I think it happened in a mine, and many of the country's rebel groups will be mining precious minerals. So it's a tragedy the country just does not need at this moment in time.
Interesting. And to our own shores there, and what's happening in County Limerick with the Illumina there. What is the latest on that?
Yeah, I heard Peter Burke, the Minister for Enterprise in Morning Ireland this morning, and he essentially I don't want to quote him, but he said that he's awaiting the results of a full investigation into it.
Just for listeners who mightn't be certain, this is Illumina that is produced in County Limerick, and it's sent to Europe to some degree, but it's sent to Russia.
Indirectly to Russia.
Yeah.
And the question is it funding Russia's war machine? Are parts of that alumina being converted to aluminium and making its way into the supply chain to the military-industrial complex in Russia? And that's a question we have yet to get a definitive answer on. But like, if that does transpire to be the case, there will probably have to be sanctions put. And
now, from a diplomatic point of view, then, I mean, it's a huge employer. In County Limerick,
we mentioned 800 people indirectly or directly by the plant. You know, it's a massive employer, so it's a very delicate one for the government. Not going to go down well in Europe at all. It's not going to go down well in Kiev, certainly. It'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. I think we await further information. That's the...
All right, well, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Thomas, great to see you as always.
Pleasure, Fran.
Thanks very much indeed for coming into us. Thomas Conway there from the Nina Guardian. 1800 938 007. Back in just a moment.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1800 938 007. Or email tipptoday@tippfm.com.
Now for the slot that has musicians shivering in their boots all around the country. Delighted to be joined by my good friend, musician Gay Brazel, with his tales and memories from life on the road. Do you get much of a
Hello,
good morning to you, first of all, Gay. Do you get much of feedback to the piece, Gay? Do you?
Indeed, I do. Yeah, I meet people that I may not always know first names of, and they'll say, God, you weren't on for a while, we were listening, are you gone? And I thought I was gone myself.
No, you're never gone from this thing. No.
You're so busy, of course, Fran. Yeah.
No, we're always delighted to see you. You've had a busy week, in fact. I was going to say
busy week, Fran.
Week,
with the Clancy Festival and Brewery Lane. I had my other hat on me for however it fits, the sound, doing sound. And it was very interesting. Like everything from 14 or 15 kids from Kilcash who had Cultus, brilliant little chieftains on the way up. You could say ranging in age from say 6 up to 13, and playing lovely little trad arrangements and so so that's orderly and fair play to the people that
so from that up to through the Clancy boys, who have a great future, to the grandsons of the Clancy group, to Nan O'Nagel on Saturday night for Martin Murray's brilliant Shonnock group, Tommy Keane on pipes, Paul Grant on guitar, Martin and Mick Forrestal. What a lineup. Great trad singer from Waterford. And they treaded the boards 45, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like listening to Plankstead. They were brilliant.
Isn't that great? God, I'm so sorry I missed that.
And, and Luca Bloom rounded it off beautifully on Sunday night. We had great crack because of the way the layout is. I'm actually on the stage over, hugging the side, staying as inconspicuous as I can, but you wouldn't get away with that with Luca. He'd be bouncing off you for the night.
He had a bit of crack,
artist.
Isn't it great? It's a festival that has maintained its integrity, hasn't it? Just from a musical point of view.
It has. Like from a national level or an international level, I'd say access to accommodation is probably a problem. But I think going forward, Carrick will have solved that, because there are great plans in the pipeline.
Yes, they're fantastic.
To improve.
Before we start looking back down memory lane, there's very special children out there listening, isn't there?
Oh God, there's.
You better mention them.
4 little people that I'm under threat that if I don't mention the name, Ella and Jamie are listening in Carriganshire, and Loon and Ora and their mums and dads are listening in Brighton. So now. Job done.
Well, hello to them indeed, and we will have a tape of that for them as well. When we talk about memories of the show bands, a memory of being on the road, it's not always musical, it's not always sociable, because you're travelling at all hours of the morning, so you see all sorts of stuff going
Unreal.
on.
Some of the stuff you come across with Fran, and the one I choose for this morning is The Truth
from start to finish. Like anything I say, I know some people think I may be colouring. I'm not. Matter of fact, some of them have gone black and white over the years with loss of memory. So,
not a bit of it, but this one in particular,
yeah.
I mean, you told me that this is intriguing.
Yeah, a winter's night. I'd say it was December or January 78 or 79, 1978, 79. And we were on our way home. We were about 25 miles from Carrick-on-Suir.
This is Tweed now.
Yeah,
Tweed.
Frosty night. Beautiful moonshine.
Yeah.
And we could see the frost. Now, the roads were okay to travel and that, you know. So,
your phone is distracting you.
So it's okay, it's gone now. It's gone.
No problem, yeah.
So we came to this brow of this hill, and there's a bungalow which we often passed. All the lights were on. This was 4 a.m, maybe later, 4:30.
Yeah.
Bright, full moon. And we just looked left and we said, oh yeah, strange, in the middle of the night. So as we passed the house, there was a gate on the left. And Dave Halsey, I think, that copped in the glittering in the moonlight. There was something shining out of the top of some kind of a bag. So we said, pull up, and our driver, I think it was Ken, reversed. And there at the gate and inside the gate were 7 or 8 bags, like those plastic bags that farmers would use for calf feeding,
yes,
for nuts and stuff like that, full to the brim of everything from, believe it or not, frozen chops in plastic bags to lovely silver goblets and
ornaments.
And even the butt end of a hoover sticking out of one other bag. In other words, we quickly assessed that this house was being stripped.
The contents of the house.
So we said, Flip, we weren't going to go near their house, of course, because you wouldn't know what you'd be facing. So we said, hey, let's take the stuff. It's obviously waiting for a collection van.
Yeah.
So we quickly loaded the stuff into the van, and someone said, what do we do that for? I mean, we'll bring it to the nearest Garda station that we can find.
Yeah.
And alert the Gardaí, and we did that. The Garda station we had in mind was Carrick-on-Suir, because we knew there would be a night Garda on there. So we made our way to the Garda station, and I think it was a Garda Burke was on duty that night, and he knew us, and he said, well, that's what's going on. So we told him the story. We left all the bags into the Garda station, including the frozen pork chops, still frozen, and other contents out of the freezer, right? And I said to him, Garda Burke, we don't know what the situation in the house is. Would you get the Gardaí in the nearest jurisdiction to check it out? He said, I will immediately. And he got on the phone. Look, I said, I'm going home. I think Davy said we were coming from Drumshambo in County Leitrim, fairly tired. Look, I said, I'll stay up at the landline. No mobiles at that stage. And I let me know is everyone okay there, because I was thinking that there may have been a man and woman tied up,
of course,
injured. We didn't know. So he said, I will, and I went home, and eventually the phone rang, and he said, the gentleman that owns the house, he said, is in hospital. The house is vacant. The Gardaí have checked it out. Yes, it was being stripped, and there was other stuff ready at the door to go. Abandoned, of course, because when they saw a strange van pull up and take all their stuff, empty bottles of liquor all over the place, whatever the poor man had in his cocktail cabinet was drank while the work was being... Yeah. And we even gave the Gardaí a description. There was a car came towards us and turned off their headlights twice and flashed at us. I think presuming that we were at the collection van. This was someone on the road doing spotting or doing duty, reconnaissance duty. So we gave a description of the car because it had a distinct bonnet that wasn't the same colour as the rest of the car. And we gave those details to the guards. Right, so never heard anything after that for about a fortnight, I'd say, maybe a little more. And Dave Hallisey was cleaning out the van one day and he found some part of the hoover that had fallen out of the bag. And he went down to the guards' barracks, and as he walked in, the guard said, "Oh, there you go, there's one of the lads," he said to this stranger standing at the desk. Dave was one of the band that found the stuff. So he said, "Okay, right." And he said, "Look, there's a part of a hoover." So he got everything back that day. He was the brother of the gentleman that owned the house, including the frozen chops, because Garda Burke had brought them home to his own freezer.
To keep them frozen.
And they got everything
So they
back.
got everything back?
Yeah,
okay.
And the house was, like, they didn't get to totally clean it because we had interrupted.
So what about the brother then? Was he?
So he said, "All right," he said, "she'll come for a pint with me." And Davy, in the middle of the day, "Well, I don't really want to," says Davy. I want to talk to you," he said. So they went up to the old mill. Tommy Welsh, God be good to him, was the proprietor, and Aidan's dad. And they went in and he said, "What'll you have?" "Oh, sure, look, I'll have a pint of Smithies or something," says Davy. So he never really thanked Davy. What came out of the conversation was, "You know, you were the main suspects for that," he said.
The band?
Yeah. And Davy looked at him, invented a few new words for the dictionary and left his pint on the counter and walked out the door.
My God.
We never got as much as a thank you by phone or a letter. Nothing.
Isn't that incredible?
Incredible. And we never heard that there was anyone found for the crime, but
like, it doesn't even make sense that...
No.
You know.
We were coming, imagine us coming from Drumshanbo, anxious to get to our homes, to think that we'd stop to strip a house on the way home. Like, to even think that.
And then go and give it all into the Gardaí.
Yeah, and the Gardaí from Carrick, because seemingly this had been going on for the fortnight to and fro with...
Oh, right, okay.
With the brother and the family saying, "What about them lads?" and all this, and the guards saying, "You're totally on the wrong scent." The guards knew us all. You're totally on the wrong. We're investigating it, and they're not. They did you a big favour. You probably don't seem to realise it.
It's amazing. It just goes to show you, good deeds never goes unpunished.
There are other occasions throughout my life, and my wife Etna as well found a wallet with a lot of money one day and got it back to the owner. "Oh God, aye, thanks."
And that's it.
Not that we want.
I know that.
We don't want, like...
Yeah.
But that... And, you know, things like that then have hardened people. I often thought after, you know, for...
What do you mean? You go, why would you bother?
Yeah, the general public who would be out to do a bit of good, and they see something going on, they just turn a blind eye and walk, and it's wrong, it's sad.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. I mean, I never really fully thought about that, but bands coming home and they were vulnerable as well.
Oh,
you know, weren't they? You know,
they were very
do you stop and help people? And if you do, what are you getting into? And, you know,
Horselips were leaving a gig one night around the same era, because they were treading the boards around the time we were the only bands to put a big sound desk down the floor, which used to cause consternation with the porter of the dance hall. Where are you going with that? That's our sound desk. The Royal Showmen were here last week, and they had none of that contraption.
None of that old nonsense.
Well, that's the way we operate. I'll have to talk to Father Murphy. Well, talk to him, because we'll be packing up now and on our way if that desk isn't down the floor. But anyway, getting back to Horselips.
Yeah.
On the way home from a gig, balaclavas, guns, stopped.
No, this is in the Republic, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And out on the road, and the black bag, as we used to call it, with the few bob in it, they found it, and who was responsible? took it. Off they went.
Go on.
Yeah, and I don't think they were ever got for it either. And horses were really rocking it at the time. They would have been
So it would have been large.
There'd have been a nice few pound notes in that satchel.
That's amazing that more of that didn't go on, because you're right. I mean, sure, the bands ended up, as Jim McCann used to say, going home with the gold.
Yeah.
They had the money, you know.
That was the one thing about the job. You were paid on the spot for whatever. Oh, no, there'd be grief. God, 'twas a wet night, lads. Sure.
Dermot O'Leary used to call it the agony in the garden when you get paid.
Yeah. Ben Dolan, the famous one, it was a dreadful night up in Shinrone, I think, and the priest came.
Yeah.
God, Ben, he said, 'twas a bad old night. We'll have to do something for us. Well, 'tis like this, says Ben. There's no point in the two of us having a bad night. Give me the money.
And there's a lot to be said for it too, I can tell you. Yeah. Do you have memories of that? I remember back in the day as well, what we dreaded most was when a committee would get around you to pay you, as opposed to one-to-one, you know.
Oh, man.
Because you'll have a few fellas showing off how tough they're going to be then.
We were up in and I think it was the Mayfair Ballroom in Drumshanbo or Manorhamel. It was County Leitrim anyway. And massive crowd on the Saturday night. And Gene was our roadie, God be good to him at the time, he's Brendan's brother. And Gene had a clicker in his pocket because we suspected some nights that we were...
Now, for listeners, a clicker was to count,
just
the
count
people coming
each
in. Yeah.
one as they go in. Your hand is innocently in your pocket, you know.
Yes.
So, the end of the night now, the place was wedged. And the end of the night anyway, I went down to get paid, and I had said to Gene when he came back, and I said, well, what's the figures, Gene? There'd be something like 1,458, say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, right, Gene, I said, you know, we went down anyway, and there was 3 of the committee below, you know. And, yeah, lads, we're giving you your great night. We're giving you 60% now of 1,230 or something like that. Oh, says I. Wait, no, is that right? No, is that what? Oh, what do you mean? Says one of them. There's a slight discrepancy. I said, our Gene was on the door there, and he has a figure of 1,450. What? Who's that? Who? Our roadie.
Yeah.
I'll bring him down, I said. So I went up and I said, Gene, they're disputing the figure. Oh, Gene shaped himself up right, says he. Come on. Down we went. And I said, this is Gene now. Yeah, I have a figure. Stay horrid cool now, says your man. I said, we're cool out. I said, we know what was in.
Yeah.
Now, someone is making a mistake somewhere. This, you know, this went on. Or you could be playing the marquee, and there'd be doormen, of course, watching the peripheral of the marquee, because there'd be young lads from the village, of course, climbing over ditches on the railings and whatever. But here at the top of the marquee, there was a little flap open, and here was one of the doormen, and he collected money and leaving them pour in the back way without being registered for the 60% at the front.
You couldn't be up to that.
Oh, man.
You know? And do you know what always amused me about it, Gay, was that, you know, in a lot of these cases, these committees were very good living people. They were often doing fundraising for the church and everything.
Come here.
But they would do you.
When it was musicians. So that's not a real job anyway. So they're only having a bit of crack. You know,
they don't deserve the money.
No, like, like, you're kind of respectable rakes going around the country playing guitars.
Some not even respectable. Some just
well,
rakes.
disputable, yeah.
And when I'm talking about this to people, I often compare it to the American scene, where you're paid often into your bank account before you arrive. You know, some of the money is into the bank account before you arrive.
Oh, God, yeah.
Very different, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
And, do you know, if you do weddings, Tweed never did weddings or anything, but in later years when I was playing with different bands, and you'd be getting this deposit, you know. And, you know, I always, oh, God, you just have to put it away into a separate account and, you know, leave it until the night, you know.
Yeah.
In spite of men looking for subs and stuff, I say, lads, can't touch.
Well, I can safely say this, and I don't mind saying it publicly. I came back from a tour one time, and I actually owed the band money.
But I've had that occasion. I've been witness to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the poor creators, like,
And again, just for listeners, this is where fellas would come to whoever was the band leader or whatever and ask for a few bob
you'd have
to be
the
going
red
on
book.
with. Yeah,
you'd have the book, the red book, and the sins would be down for Sunday night to be.
So if they were fond of a drink or fond of a game of cards, it would be.
But I knew part-time musicians in Carrick, who may have worked during the day and whatever, and when they were playing, and there was 4 of them fairly famous for it. They might be in the Kick 'em In playing the Sunday night, and at whatever time Michael would say, I'm definitely going to bed, get out to hell. Okay, Michael, what do we owe you? And Michael was a decent man. He would have paid every group that went in there.
Yeah.
But they had used that up over the counter and had to put their hands in their pockets to supplement the liquid refreshments after the gig. God help us. But, but that's true.
It's gas, isn't it? But back in the day, I mean, they all talk about drugs and this, and drink was the demon, wasn't it? I mean, drink was the...
It was. And even, like, when we were starting, and you might go down when you'd have the sound check done in the dance hall or whatever, and then you meet someone having a pint in the local before they go up. Hey, and you might only be going down for a cup of tea or a sandwich, or some of the lads might have 1 pint, right? Oh, here, you'll have to have something. Oh, God, sure, we're out for a great night now. And there'd be half ones put up. And it was hand in hand. What do you mean you don't? You don't drink? Yeah. Well, no, not before a gig. Oh my God. But they were having a ball, so they presumed you were up on the stage.
Yeah. But wasn't it always the presumption? I mean, people would come up to you. I mean, you might have been playing straight through for 2.5 hours or something. They say, did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy it?
Exactly, yeah.
And of course you get a buzz from the music, but it is work,
And me up in Donegal, where are you? Sure, where are you staying now tonight? Carrigan, sure. What? No, Carrigan, it has to be Carrigan home. Are you not? You're going home now?
Yeah.
So we had to, because we were in Kerry the night after.
People still can't understand that, even to this day.
The one thing about it is you made great time at nights.
Yeah.
Driving,
of course. Yeah.
And of course the roads were not the roads of today. We'd be out, forget about it.
Yeah, that's for sure. But great times though, Gary.
They were.
Great times.
They were kind of... there were more innocent times. As I said to you before, there wasn't much in Ireland at that early era, only bingo, the GAA, and dancing.
And what always strikes me about it? The camaraderie I've never seen in anything else. That is between. Now I know there'd be rows with bands, and fellas would be difficult and moody and all, but there's a camaraderie that's
there was
amazing.
Absolutely. There'd be slagging going on, all right. Dickie Rock used to be always slagging the culchies like Brendan Boyer and Joe Dolan, because he was Frank Sinatra in his mind.
Thought, yes.
And he was brilliant. I'm not taking from the man, but that was kind of friendly banter that went on, Like Joe Dolan was at a do one night, and Van Morrison was there, and he was after having Make Me an Island in the British charts for that French songwriter. He had some kind of a... anyway.
Yeah.
And they were talking, and Joe said, he said, I could put you in touch with Leonardo there, whatever his name was. A good songwriter, Van, and Van like a demon, because Van was writing all his own stuff, and he just growled, which wouldn't be unknown from
That's
Fran.
for sure, yeah. Roberto De Nova, is that who you're talking about? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the brain cells are coming back to me now. You can't beat it. Somebody else looking to know, when is Gay writing the book? Now, there's a good question. When are you writing the book, Gay?
Sure. Hey, I don't know. Would anyone want to read it?
I'll tell you, there'd be a queue for a go out of that.
I'd say I'd have to leave a box number for Outer Mongolia to send on the royalties.
Well, just in terms of the people who might be concerned about what you might write in the book, you see, that's it. Gay, a pleasure as always. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank
Tales
you indeed
from the
for
Road. Paul Lafford on to say the movie we were talking about earlier, An Eye in the Sky, well done you, Paul. That's exactly it. And you're right, it is a brilliant movie, but a heartbreaking one as well. News and information is coming up.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie. Escape to Carlisle of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Thanks, Pat, and welcome back to the final hour of Tip Today. 1800 938 007. The text and WhatsApp is 083 311 3311. Tip FM should produce a new podcast called The Days on the Road. Speak with all of the bands on the road and those who may have retired and hear their amazing stories. Love hearing the stories from your friend Gay Brazel there. It's amazing. Well, there you go. We do that about once a month or so. We ask Gay to traipse back down memory lane for us, and it's always interesting.
Legal discussion on Tip Today is brought to you in association with Lynch Solicitors Clonmel, on the web at lynchsolicitors.ie and at divorceineireland.com.
Gillian O'Mahony from Lynch Solicitors is with me in studio. Good morning to you, Gillian.
Good morning, Fran.
And good to see you today. You're going to talk to us about nervous shock. What exactly is nervous shock?
So nervous shock is, I suppose it's a legal term, and it's where somebody suffers a profound psychological injury which is caused by witnessing or experiencing a traumatic event.
Right, okay. And in terms of the legal aspect of this then, and how it would arise in a case, Gillian?
So it would generally arise where perhaps there's been a road traffic accident, and that's generally where I would have those types of cases.
Yeah.
Road traffic accident, and a parent, a brother, a sister of somebody who's been fatally injured in the road traffic accident arrives on the scene of the accident, or arrives on the aftermath of the accident.
Is this similar to post-traumatic?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So nervous shock is the legal term, and to qualify for nervous shock you have to be diagnosed with a psychiatric condition, and post-traumatic stress is one of those psychiatric conditions which meets the criteria on a nervous shock claim.
Right, but how do you prove that the psychiatric injury is shock-induced, and particularly relating to an incident?
Exactly, and that is what we have to do, and that's part of when we have these type of cases. We have to prove that, first of all, that somebody has suffered a psychiatric injury, and that's done by way of a medical report. So most people who do suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, or another type of recognised psychiatric injury will have attended their doctor, they'll be on medication, and generally they may have done that in the immediate aftermath of the accident, or they may have collapsed at the scene of the accident, they may have needed medical attention. So we get that in the form of a medical report.
And when we think of compensation, we normally think of physical injuries. So can you get compensation for this shock?
Yes, absolutely. You can get compensation if you meet certain criteria. Okay, so the legal criteria that must be met is that you have to have a recognisable psychiatric injury, such as I say, PTSD, adjustment disorder, depression, something that's recognisable. That has to be shock induced. So your medical professionals, your treating medical professionals have to be able to say that it's shock induced, that it's directly linked to what you witnessed in terms of the accident or whatever it is. Then there has to be a link between that diagnosis and the accident in terms of, I suppose it generally can't be something that's diagnosed 2 years down the road. There has to be a link between it, and it has to arise from an injury to a loved one or to somebody when you arrive on the scene, and the defendant, so whether it's the insurance company or whoever, they have to owe what's called a duty of care. So if you meet all those criteria, you can then bring a nervous shock injury claim. You don't have to have suffered a physical injury. We have what's called judicial guidelines, formally the Book of Quantum, and again that sets out different categories where you meet this criteria, and the range of values for a recognisable condition such as PTSD, it ranges from €500, and that's where the injury resolves in very, very quickly, right up to 120,000. So that's the maximum that the the guidelines permits. And to reach that, I suppose, that category, you have to have permanent effects from the injury, such as you may be prevented from working, you may be prevented from functioning to the normally in comparison to the way you were pre-traumatic event. There, in addition to that compensation claim, there may be loss of earnings, there may be therapy costs, loads of other additional special damages, as you would have in a normal personal injuries case.
And did you mention there the time limit to take a case? Did you say it was 2 years?
2 years, absolutely. It's 2 years as with any other personal injuries case. So it's 2 years from the date of the incident, or 2 years of when, I suppose, when there's a recognisable injury.
Right. And the type of compensation for nervous shock, I mean, what about that, Jill?
Yes, so it's back to general damages with an upper ceiling of 120,000, and then on top of that you can have what are your special damages, so your loss of earnings, your therapy costs, medical costs, pharmaceutical costs, all of that comes into play.
Right. What if it's fought by the other side? If they fight against this and say,
yes.
no, this isn't part of the issue or the accident.
Yes,
what about
absolutely.
That?
So it follows the form of any other type of personal injuries case. So you have to prove negligence, obviously. So you have to prove that the other party was at fault. So let's say you arrive on the scene of a road traffic accident and it's a family member of yours that has been involved in the accident. You have to prove that the other driver was the fault, obviously, because you'd be claiming against their insurance company. Yes. So it goes back to basics and it follows the exact same principles that any other personal injuries case would follow. You have to prove negligence, and you have to prove that there was breach of duty of care.
So this is where traffic accidents are concerned, or traffic events. So what about outside of that then? Can you claim nervous shock? And I'm thinking particularly, I suppose, Medneg with
yes,
this.
Yes, absolutely. And only in the last week or two we've had a High Court published decision on this area. So it's been in a state of flux for the last number of years. In 2024 we had a High Court decision, Germain and Day, and that was the first medical negligence nervous shock case. So in that particular case, you had a gentleman who presented in the hospital with a lung condition which was treated successfully. In the course of treating him, he was under surveillance and he underwent a chest x-ray which was reported as normal. Unfortunately, that was misread, and if it had been reported correctly, they would have picked up and they would have diagnosed made a lung cancer diagnosis. At that stage, it was actually incurable. However, he deteriorated for the next year. He ultimately passed away. His wife then, on his death, his wife received a letter to the effect that there had been a breach of duty. In fact, his x-ray had been misread, but it was incurable at that stage. So she then brought a claim for nervous shock on the basis that she had witnessed him deteriorating for the past year. That the court dismissed that. It didn't state that somebody can't bring a family member can't bring a claim arising out of a medical scenario, but it dismissed it on the basis that there was no shock event. There was no shock-inducing event. It was simply he deteriorated over a year, and she didn't meet the criteria. So we then had to wait until there was another big decision, and in the last 2 weeks we've had a big decision which has clarified that in fact you can bring a nervous shock claim in a hospital scenario where you witness something that is catastrophic. So this case is a case called Kinsella and Carter, and it has made significant clarifications on the law. In this case, the deceased was a wife of the plaintiff, so the person who brought the case. She was on a daily dose of medication, 10 micrograms of medication for high blood pressure. The maximum that anybody is permitted of this particular medication, the maximum daily dose is 20 micrograms. So she was admitted into hospital for a heart issue. On her admission, the doctor prescribed her 80 micrograms of this particular medication, bearing in mind the most you can take in a day is 20. So she suffered an overdose. As part of that overdose, she was administered an antidote to drug poisoning. Drug overdoses is a charcoal type medication. So her husband went into the hospital and he witnessed her frothing black product emanating from her nose, her mouth, mouth, and he witnessed what was a sudden and catastrophic medical event. So he then ultimately collapsed. He ended up in the emergency department, and she ultimately passed away as a result of the overdose. He then brought a claim for nervous shock. So in that case, the court found it was absolutely hotly disputed by the hospital. One of their arguments was that they don't owe a duty, hospital doesn't owe a duty of care to a family member. Their duty of care is to a patient that they're treating, and it shouldn't extend beyond that. It shouldn't extend to a family member for the purpose of a nervous shock claim. The court found in this case that the word accident isn't limited to a road traffic accident or a workplace accident. It can extend to an accident in a hospital setting. The court in this case found that the hospital did have a duty of care to the husband. The court found that the husband in this case met all the criteria. It was shock-inducing, it was sudden, and he witnessed his wife with black product emanating from her nose. He witnessed the whole event. He collapsed coming out of the hospital, and he ended up in the emergency department. So in that case, which is the first case of its type, the court found that he met all the criteria and he was entitled to succeed in a claim for nervous shock.
So this is case law now, Gillian.
It is absolutely.
Is this not enormous?
It is.
Isn't it?
Now, the damages in terms of the compensation weren't massive, okay? And I suppose it's important in these type of cases in that you get your compensation for the psychiatric element of the injury. You're not compensated for what is normal, and I suppose normal, I don't mean to minimise it. You're not compensated for grief as such under a nervous shock case or anxiety. You're only compensated for the psychiatric element of the case.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a history of psychiatric issues, I presume that plays into this, or is that seen as possibly aggravating?
Yes,
those
it can be
issues?
seen as aggravating, absolutely, and it's no different. You take your plaintiff. There's a legal term. You take your plaintiff as you see them. So, for example, we would deal with road traffic accidents where somebody might have a history of back injury. Again, you might have a vulnerable plaintiff, somebody who has a history of medical, psychiatric, and again, that doesn't preclude.
You talk as well about the time limit of being 2 years, and I vaguely remember many conversations with John, but one where he said that it's really at the time of you knowing that there's an issue. Does that apply to this as well, which might make the 2 years irrelevant?
It does, yes. So it's 2 years from the date of the injury or the date on which you knew or ought to have known that you had a recognisable condition.
So that applies in this case.
It does,
well.
yes. It's the exact same, and it's the exact same law. If you've somebody who suffered a back injury, a neck injury, a leg injury, it's the same criteria, except that the law now has confirmed that nervous shock can extend to a medical scenario. And again, you have to prove, you have to go back to basics, and you have to prove a breach of duty as well. So, for example, in this case, that was simple because the hospital had over-administered. I suppose in terms of the medical scenario, the hospital had over-administered a drug. So again, that wasn't an issue. In this particular case, there was no dispute that the gentleman had suffered a recognisable psychiatric injury. I think it was as clear as day that he had a recognisable psychiatric injury and he had been diagnosed with PTSD. But the hospital were denying that they owed a duty of care to him, and they were saying that their duty extends to the patient, and that's what they're focusing on, and it shouldn't extend out.
But it does now.
It does now. Yes, absolutely.
And I can think, even just offhand, of how this is going to apply to maternity, for example. I mean, in case of things going wrong when a child is being born and a husband there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose you always, you have to be diagnosed with a recognisable psychiatric just because, and I don't mean just because to,
Sure, of
because
course.
things go wrong, but it has to result in more than grief, stress, anxiety. It has to be a recognisable psychiatric condition.
Right, but the spectrum of that is huge.
Yes,
isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
It ranges from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, adjustment disorder, depression. Obviously, that would be a matter for a medical expert to make that diagnosis.
Yeah, and do you bring in medical
Yes,
experts then
absolutely.
at the time?
Yeah.
All right. Fascinating as always. If people want to make contact with you or your
Very
team,
good. Absolutely happy to talk to anybody who
All
wants
right.
to give me a call.
Lynch Solicitors in Clonmel. Gillian, thanks very much indeed for that. Most interesting. We'll take a break back in just a moment.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the Expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Across County Tipperary, business
today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Now, Oliver was on to us from Rossgrave to remind me that we met up down at the Gleneagle in Killarney last Tuesday night, in fact, and it was a real pleasure to meet you, Oliver, and I hope we do so again soon. And thanks for your kind words to us as well. Bonnie Hayes, a great friend to the show over many years, was on. He said, I loved listening to Gay Brazel just now. Great stories from great times. They were fantastic days and incredible memories. Well, that's for sure indeed. On June 19th, Kilsheelan native Brendan Walsh will set off on the journey of a lifetime, running from his home in Tipperary to Cork University Hospital in honour of his late mother, Carol. And I'm delighted to say I'm joined in the studio by Brendan now, who is just looking horribly fit. How are you, Brendan?
Good, and yourself?
Very well indeed, and good to see you today. This is a lovely undertaking, and we'll talk about it in just a moment. Will you remind us about your mum, Carol?
Yeah, so my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2013, and she went through cancer for 8 years, and unfortunately lost her battle and passed away in 2021. My mother would have been, I suppose, very positive throughout her time. She was obviously very good to me and my sister Clodagh, and she's been a huge part to raising me to the person I am today.
She was very resilient, I believe, in how she dealt with the cancer.
Yeah, definitely. I said it before that we never really saw the full side of it, I suppose. There was always the brave face put on to do the best to look after her two children, and
and this would have been in COVID as well, was it, Brendan?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we went through COVID as well, and to be honest, I think this might sound a bit ironic now, but I think COVID was actually a good thing at times, because it gave us 18 months together that
you were around her.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and we would have done family walks together and all, what have you. So definitely there was quality time there as well.
Some of the organisations that were good to her, you want to highlight them as well, Brendan?
Yeah, exactly. So we're supporting 3 charities with the run. We're doing Care Cancer Support in Clonmel, who would have been a great help to Mam throughout her time, and Solace Cancer Support Waterford as well, who would have been a big help to her and our family. And the Bond Secures then is the hospital that Mam would have went for treatment. So they have a cancer charity called Cunav, who were also helping out as well.
Yeah. Can you remember when you got the news? Did she tell you herself that she had cancer?
I don't remember the first time now, Fran, to be honest, but I do remember the second time, all right. I was kind of clued in. I think I kind of knew myself first.
She had it twice, did she?
Yes, that's
All
right. Yeah,
okay.
She got the all clear, I think, around 2015-16 time, and then she was diagnosed again in 2017. I remember then for the second time, all right, I was aware. I kind of knew myself before I even asked the question. I would have said it to her and Dad, and I suppose the attitude would have been we've done it once, we can do it again. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But
she was positive, wasn't she?
100%. She never always stayed with a smile on her face and kept going. Always was positive, and I feel that is a very strong message to anyone that's been going through it themselves. It's something that I've tried to have an outlook, obviously, with going through grief and all that in the last few years, and no matter what I take, I always try and do it positively and have a smile on my face while doing it.
I often speak to people like yourself who had a family member go through this challenge, this journey, and they often speak about the resilience of the person and how the person seems to find some core strength or something to get them through this.
Definitely, yeah. You'd wonder sometimes at Mam, where she was able to do that. Like, you'd see, I remember one time, well, actually, I'll say about, I suppose, the Thursday evening was, I suppose, our final moment. I was coming back from a holiday with my cousins, and I remember going down to the Bonds when we knew that there was no more treatment, I suppose, but we knew what was coming down tracks basically. But I remember we went in to meet her, and it was like that last lease of life. We always had a tradition in the evenings where we all go and have tea. The mum, dad, myself and Claudia, we'd always have tea in the evening, a few biscuits, what have you, like basically every other Irish family. But I remember that as like the last lease of life, and the four of us all sat together and had tea just in the last few hours, and I think of that kind of resilience and that strength to be able to get
And was
up.
she conscious at that?
She was, yeah.
Was she?
Yeah.
Right, so she was conscious pretty much right up to
I suppose that was probably around 8 o'clock in the evening, and she probably went off into sleep then at 11, and then she passed away peacefully then at about, I think it was 12 around that time. But the last few hours, it was just obvious that she wanted to be there for her children and for Dad as well, and she wanted to give us one lasting memory, and that's something that'll always stick with me.
And it was a simple memory, but it's so important to you that you had tea together.
Exactly, so simple, because it's something that we've done for years, you know.
Yeah. You must have been very young at the time.
I was 16.
16, yeah. Very difficult at 16, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very difficult at any age,
Well,
but
that's it,
particularly that age. You know, I think.
No, exactly. Like, I was going through, I suppose my big step up kind of to become an adult, I suppose. Like, I was going into 5th year in school, like senior cycle is getting serious, I suppose, big leaving cert and all that.
Yeah.
But, it's something that came at a time, maybe not the best time, but I suppose I was also old enough to be aware of everything and be able to deal with it as well, you know. That I wasn't, I suppose, really young when it happened, and that I had no fond memories. At least I was there, and she was an amazing part of my life for 16 years, an amazing part of my sister's life as well for 11. And we have them fond memories still, and I think that's a blessing in itself.
Well, it's lovely to have good memories of that, and to be very proud of her as to how she dealt with this as well, I'm sure. Tell me about the homage that you're paying to her then. This is a lovely idea.
Yeah, so the plan is to replicate the distance that my mother would have travelled for her treatment throughout the years, which would be from my house in Grange Moncler to the Bon Secours Hospital, which is 120 kilometres in total, and I'm going to do it on foot. I'm going to run it. The plan is to start on Friday morning and go from my home to Mitchelstown, and then from Mitchelstown to Cork then on the Saturday.
You know, please tell me that you're a runner and that this is...
Oh yeah, oh god, yeah. No, there's plenty of training done. I'm not just getting up now one morning and say, we'll do it, go on. It's only,
you're not a couch potato like
no,
me,
god, no.
out and running. Good.
I say it act as I can, Fran, anyway, yeah.
So you're doing it over 2 days then,
yeah, that's
it?
right, yeah.
Okay.
Like we talked about first about going through the night, I suppose, and doing it all together, but we think this is the best way going forward for safety wise and also for promotion wise as well, to try and raise as much funds as we can for these charities. And so we're doing it. It's 2 consecutive ultramarathons. We're going 70k on the Friday and 50k on the Saturday. So all going well, I'll be able to get through it.
Wow, what an undertaking. Now, will you do it absolutely on your own, or are people going to join you for periods of time?
Hopefully there'll be plenty of people joining with me, and it's open to people to jump in as well, I suppose, as time goes on. I'll be from here to Mitchelstown on the first day. I expect a big crowd, and hopefully then we'll get a big crowd when I finish in the Bonds then on the Saturday as well. So definitely I'll be helped along the way. I feel that something I've done throughout my training is when I'm running, being on my own is kind of a hard part, really. Like, it's grand. It was grand in the early stages. Might be running 2 or 3 hours. You're running a half marathon, whatever. You might get someone to do that distance. When I'm getting up to the stage I'm at now, I've ran 50, 60k in a day, and it's like, who am I going to get that's also going to run 50 or 60k?
Well, don't be looking at me.
So that's it. Like, and I feel
that's incredible. Yeah.
The fact that you've done it, I've done it on my own. I think that on the day, yes, it will be that extra distance. I feel that the people around me is going to make an absolutely huge difference, and I think company will be probably what will get me over the line.
Absolutely. Now, how can people help out then by way of donating?
So people can help out through, you'll find Carl's Legacy Run on Facebook and Instagram, and then we have a GoFundMe, which is collecting funds, and the GoFundMe link is also on social media as well. So that's Carl's Legacy Run on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, so lots of opportunities there for people to... And as you're going along, can you collect as well, or is that maybe not?
Not really sure.
Okay, right. So there's all sorts of things involved in that. What goes... I mean, if you're running something like 50k, which is unimaginable to me, but what goes through your head? I mean, is it 1 foot past the other, or can you be daydreaming? How does that work?
Basically, Fran, 1 foot past the other. It's not. I find my mind will go numb after a while. There's almost so much music and podcasts you could listen to, and I'll do 2 or 3 hours, and then you'll kind of you won't even be thinking of anything. And sometimes you could be thinking of a million things. It all depends, really. I find it freeing. Now, maybe I suppose I'd like to drop back in distance when I'm finished all this. I'd like to just tip away a few 10Ks and that kind of thing. But no, I enjoy it, and it's something I think would be a great tribute.
And I presume you've done marathons and all.
I actually haven't, no.
Have you not?
No, I haven't, no. Just in my training is all.
Wow.
I haven't done the official marathon or official half marathon.
And is that something that interests you?
It's something that I'll hopefully look at in the future, alright, yeah.
Right.
But no, just my background was GA, and I would have played GA and soccer for years, and both my GA club and my farm soccer club have been absolute great help to me, with promotion wise, and also getting people to come out and help me. But no, I just thought the running was something, it's a big challenge obviously, and I thought it was the best way to do it, I suppose.
It'll be an emotional roller coaster for you, though, I guess, because it's her pathway to hospital that you're running.
That's
on.
it, yeah. And it's also I'm in college down in Cork. I've walked past that hospital nearly every day since the last 3 years. It's not the most pleasant thing in the world, but as we said already, positivity is the main thing. You have to go, and you have a life. I suppose you have a life to live, and that's what she'd want. So.
I suppose it is, but you're always going to remember her, and remember her fondly, I would imagine, as well. It's interesting, the organisations you mentioned and the people in them and the good work they do, because often on programmes like this, to be honest with you, Brendan, we'd be slagging off the HSE, we'd be talking about trolleys and corridors and all of that, but these people have been top class, have they?
100%, yeah. From Care and Clonmel, they've been definitely a big help to Mam when she was up around home. Solace would have gave us counselling services as children, when Mam was re-diagnosed. The bonds were just absolutely exceptional over the 8 years, especially Dr. Conlett Murphy, Mam's consultant. I don't think that Mam would have got the years that she would have got if it wasn't for that man. Haven't actually met him yet, but I hope to meet him when I do this run.
Yeah.
They were absolutely exceptional. It's just the way I give them back. I said it in one of my announcement videos that people don't realise that they work year on year to they make Christmas happen for families. They make events, any other family event, whether it be a communion or something like that. They all work to do that and give back, I suppose, to people that are going through the same thing that we went through. So I think it's very important that they get a benefit from this.
So you're setting out from home on the 19th. At what time will you set off?
Set off at 9 o'clock in the morning.
9 o'clock in the morning, okay. Well, we'll be following your journey, Brendan, and we wish you the very best. Have you a goal in terms of the amount you want to raise?
My mad goal is 30,000, Fran.
Okay.
We're just over halfway there now. So hopefully we can get there. It'd be nice to give 10k to both charities.
Wouldn't it be lovely indeed? I'm sure you'll do better than that even. But Brendan, lovely to talk to you, and thanks for remembering your mom for us today. Great to see you, Brendan.
Cheers,
thanks very much indeed. We'll take a break. We're back with more.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Get 4K your way from Nissan.
It matters to you. It matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1-800-938-007.
Now, I'm glad to be joined in the studio by our relationship expert, Susan O'Donoghue. Good morning to you, Susan.
Morning, Fran.
Good to see you today. Ireland has the highest rate of loneliness in Europe. Are you surprised at that?
I am, because we're supposed to be such a welcoming country, and we're supposed to be all, I suppose our social thing. I lived in America for years. Socially, I think we'd be way better, and we'd salute our neighbours, and we'd,
I would have thought so.
Yeah, but this is what's coming up in the research, and I suppose they're putting it down to factors they said being female, and that's another strange one, because I would imagine men would be, what's the difference? I don't see the significance. I was trying to kind of, unravel that one in my mind.
What are they saying about females?
They just said the females, factors like being female. Well, I can't see the relevance. Can you?
I'm not really, no.
No, I would imagine it depends on the situation each female is in. But I would have thought we as females myself, would chat a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, and I would see it with older people. I think females are much more resilient, to be honest with you, you know.
And one thing I know is, like, even in relationships and marriage, women way outlive men, generally.
Yes.
You know,
yeah,
so I don't know
absolutely.
the relevance of that, but it's there. Having few social supports, which is fair enough. Unemployment, not being born in Ireland is an increased risk, which you can imagine. While marriage, good health and group participation help. And you could see that in some senses. But my husband, I was chatting with him the other day, and he said, but sure, if you're in a marriage and you can still be lonely in that if the relationship's not good.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, it's the connection, isn't it, of the relationship.
Yeah.
It's the quality of the connection.
Yeah, and you might be on your own and be perfectly happy.
100%.
Do you
There's
know?
a lot to be said for being alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need
God
to get away
knows
by
it's true.
yourself. But I think there's a big difference
Yes, yeah.
between being alone and being lonely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know.
yeah.
So another thing is, I suppose, the rural isolation here, and we know that farming is really, you know, lots of people are hard hit with loneliness and that, because it is lone working to a certain degree. Maybe they have people helping them at certain times of the year, but a lot of it is alone. The age demographic, I suppose, you know, the older people would have a tendency when they see people around them that they, you know, their friends, their families, they pass away. It does make you lonely. There's no two ways about it. Impact of COVID is still there.
Is it indeed?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think that that's still, and I know from certain clients that I have worked with throughout the years that the impact of COVID had a huge, I suppose, made a huge difference to their lives and how they lived.
In what way was it the isolation?
It was the isolation. It was fear. It was all fear driven, right? It was all afraid to meet up with other people, afraid to go out, the fear of what you're going to get, if you're going to die. All this, like, it just added to it. And then they got into kind of, I suppose, that became the norm. And then it's hard to break out of that because the fear is, you're filled with fear the whole time. So that can be huge. So it's that's a long journey to come back from.
It is, isn't it? And you know, you're so right. I met a couple, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago down in Killarney, and they were saying to me it was their first night out since COVID. Since COVID, imagine.
Well, I'm delighted they got out.
Yeah.
Absolutely thrilled for them. But I can see it because I work with people who feel it.
Yes.
So I can see it. And even though, I suppose, me having 3, I suppose they're adults now, but they're just gone from the teenage to the adult, and I suppose I had no choice but to get on with it. Is that what they say? And it was kind of, well, I had a choice, but it was kind of like it demanded my attention and I didn't have time to focus on it. But when you don't have those distractions or whatever you want to call them, or life happenings, it can get on top of you. You could see how it could, you know.
Yeah, it's something we rarely discuss is the loneliness that's there when our kids fly the nest. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's more prevalent if you've won.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I have 3, and I'm delighted that they're all finding their own wings, and you know, hopefully they'll fly wherever they need to go, and their ups and downs. That's all part of it. Yeah. And I'll be there to accompany them, not as much as I used to, in the sense of I won't be sticking my beak in anymore, and that's what I find hard.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes, because you see them. Yeah, you see them doing things, and you know, that there's going to be a bit of hee-haw, and you can see. But look, you can't put an old head on young shoulders, and I think they need to find that out themselves. It's about being there to accompany them when they need it.
Of course, it is indeed.
Yeah.
And back to loneliness per se, then, I mean, is it something, you see, the danger is that somebody will say, now I know you wouldn't say this, Asher, pull yourself together, go out and meet people. It's not that simple. It's not.
It's not that simple. It's fear driven, right? It's that fear of, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe for some people it can be loads of different things, like it can be a sense of being afraid of what people think of you. It can be just even to put yourself out there. God knows what's your story. Did something happen to you in the past when you put yourself out there? Did you ever have a relationship where you felt safe in it? And for a lot of people, they don't. Like, because for a lot of us growing up in the households we grew up in, it wasn't safe to be yourself. Yeah. And then, like, if you grow up in a house like that, chances are, unless you find a bit of safety along the way with somebody who's examined their own story, it's very difficult then to get a sense of what it feels like to be in a safe relationship.
Yes.
Yeah? How many people do we know, honestly, where we could tell them everything?
God, I don't know if I know anybody.
Well, I would say I have probably 3 or 4 people in my life that I feel that safe with, and I feel so privileged.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like I could say, look, I'm after, shooting them. Can you go get the shovel? That kind of sense of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not too many of us have that. And it's such a special thing to have. But to have that, you need to work on yourself. You need to have that sense of safety within to be able to trust others. And the other side of it is being able to separate out that if somebody does, well, if they do say something and it does come back, am I okay with that? See, there's a lot in it, isn't there, to have a relationship that you feel safe in. And that helps you not to be lonely. It's all connected. So
It's interesting, but you are putting yourself out there if you want people in your life, aren't you?
Of course you are.
Yeah.
110%.
But are you making yourself a little vulnerable too? In its own
see,
way?
I don't like the whole I'm making myself vulnerable, because I think it
I have to watch the semantics around you all the time.
Yeah. Oh no, it's just me. This is me now. But the whole thing about being vulnerable.
Yes.
If I sit with somebody and I say to them, "Oh my God, you're very vulnerable now." How does that feel for you now? Where's your power?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't like it as a label, but I'm just wondering.
It's a vulnerable situation.
Yeah.
And we all get into them.
If you give your information to somebody, you are trusting them with your life.
100%. You're hoping, that they won't go and, I suppose, retell that or add legs to it or do whatever, right? So you are putting yourself out there.
Yes.
But if you feel secure in yourself, and if you've done work on yourself, and if you feel like, do you know what? Whatever they do is about them and for them. Yeah? It's nothing to do with me. And I'm okay with who I am and what I have done in this life. Yeah? And like, their judgment is about them. It's not about me. I'm the one who takes care of me, and I'm the one who says whether or not, yay, nay, this is wrong. And your story is very personal, and it's also very private. And we need to have boundaries around it. We need to know who to let in and who not to leave in.
So what do you say to somebody who would describe themselves then, Susan, as being lonely?
Okay, I would say to them that, it's very important that you take care of yourself in this. And that's about, people that say, oh, go out and connect with others or be active or take notice, and you know what I mean, of how your feelings are, which I would say is top of my list, right? I would say that it's the work on yourself will support you to move from that loneliness feeling, that you will be able to go out and make connections. Because there's no point in me saying to you, if you haven't done work on yourself, go out there and meet a few people and you'll be sorted.
Right.
It doesn't work.
So what, you look at yourself?
What you need to do is if you can, right,
yes.
you need to connect with somebody, right, who you think that you may feel safe with. And that's going to be a journey. It's not going to be, especially if you're very lonely and you feel like, oh my goodness, I just can't put myself out there. It's too threatening for me. So therefore, what you need to do is you need to find maybe one person that you feel that maybe you could build a bit of safety with. Yeah?
Yes.
And you need to take care of yourself in that if it doesn't feel safe, you pull back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like dipping your toe in the water. It's like testing it to see, is this okay for me? Am I gone in too far? Do I need to pull back a bit? And there's going to be a bit of that goes on. It's so threatening to put yourself out there, as we said, in relationships, because of everything that can happen within it. So the key to not being lonely is the quality of each relationship. And the most important relationship you have is with yourself. So the quality of the relationship you have with yourself is going to determine the quality of the relationship you have with another. So if I want to come out of a loneliness state, right, I need to check in with myself, see what's going on, how I'm feeling, what do I need to do, what sits right for me, what can I take on board, what am I able to do at the moment, right? So it's about checking in with yourself first to see where I'm at. Because sometimes it might be even too much to even pick up the phone and call someone.
Yes.
So you need to sit with yourself first and know that you're worthy and know that you're good enough. That you're worthy and that you're valuable and that you're worthy of love and belonging.
And
That's
Susan,
the
loneliness that might come from grief, is that different to what we're talking about here? Because that's a natural thing, I guess, is it?
Well, they're all kind of natural, aren't they?
You see, I knew. Yeah. You should have been a barrister. Do you know that?
Really?
Yes, they are. You're dead right. But do you take my point to some degree? That
I do. That this is something in life that might be more common.
That you can pinpoint.
That you can pinpoint. That you can label as such, right?
Yeah.
But something happens in everybody's life to get them to that stage.
Yes.
Whether it's like it's in your story somewhere. Yeah? And it's, how now am I going to mind myself in this? What do I need to do? What's safe for me to do? And, you know, if we don't take a little chance in life, if we don't put ourselves out there, there'll be no movement. If we do the same thing we've been doing all along, we'll still just keep going.
So there's a little value in people saying, do try and get out there in some way.
There's value in somebody saying, how would it feel for you? Okay. Or how is this for you?
Yes.
And how does that sit for you? Because see, if I say, do you know what now? What you need to do is you need to get out there. What I'm doing is I'm putting my stuff on you now. I'm telling you what my need is. I need you to get out there. Because I don't want to be watching you sitting here. So that means that I can't accompany you.
Yeah.
Do you see the difference? If I could accompany you, I'd be saying to you, if you said to me, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And I'd say, well, I don't know if this will sit right for you, but how does this sound for you? It's a lot gentler. You know,
very interesting. Frank is in Thurles and he is posing a question to Susan. He says, it's not always about relationships. Is it not the case that a person can be intellectually lonely?
Okay. And what would Frank exactly mean by being intellectual lonely, I wonder?
You see, I don't know, but is it close to a question that we came across some time ago where people grow differently in relationships? And maybe,
okay.
Now I'm guessing. I'm guessing.
I'm only guessing as well. That's why I asked the question, because I don't really understand it fully. But thank you for sending it in. What I would imagine is, look, it's connection within relationship. So if I'm with somebody and I feel like I'm growing apart intellectually, there's more to me than my intellect, right? And I presume what he's talking about is knowledge, not intelligence.
Well, I was just about to say that to you. Yeah. I'm around you too much. Because they're two very different things, aren't they?
Hugely different, right? Okay, so good. Now am I judging the other on the knowledge they have?
Yeah.
And am I then seeing them for being knowledgeable and not seeing the person?
Yeah, because an intellect doesn't really change all that much, but knowledge can.
Knowledge. Like, I think we're all born, like you see people who are in the worst situations when they are born and they come out of it and they're thriving, and you go, oh my God.
How did you do that?
That's intellect.
Yeah.
That's somebody, we're all born intelligent, right? That's somebody that's survival, that's amazing. And if those people had the same situation as the most knowledgeable person on the planet, they might be the most knowledgeable person on the planet. But they didn't have, I suppose, the resources, or they didn't have the time to dedicate to knowledge. That's the difference. Yeah. So I think, and we're all, I suppose, knowledgeable in different ways, and we all will be drawn to different things, you know, intelligence-wide, what we want to learn and what we don't want to learn. And we'll be good in the field we choose.
Yes.
Yeah? And that's part of our story as well.
Of course it is. So step one, if there's people listening to us, they might be feeling particularly lonely on this Tuesday morning, what would you say to them specifically?
Well, number one, recognise it and name it.
Okay.
Yeah? Yeah. Know that you're not alone, that there is people out there that can support you. Ask yourself, what's my need in this? What do I need, and what can I do?
Yes.
You know, what sits right for me? Is it what won't be so threatening for me that I won't be able to do it? Yeah, that'll just create so much fear inside me, because it's hugely fearful.
Yes.
To put yourself out there, right? So it's connecting with yourself first, right? Because remember, everybody who's born on this planet, has the right to belong and be loved. Yeah, and you have it. Whoever you are out there who's feeling lonely, you have those rights. Yeah, and that's a need that we all have, and we all deserve it, and we all need it. So, what do you need to support yourself in that? What do you need to get that connection you need? And sometimes, you know, being really lonely, we can be really needy. Yeah,
sure.
So it's about, what are my needs? My needs are screaming out. Remember, all behaviour makes sense, and all our feelings are our way in to let us know what we need. So those feelings that come up for you, sit with them, look at them, think about what you're needing them. Can I do this? Can I do that? Would it be okay for me to pick up the phone and connect to somebody? Or is that just way beyond it? And then what's another little step I can do today? It doesn't, how do you eat an elephant? That's my usual, one bite at a time. This isn't something that happens overnight, right? You didn't get to this stage overnight. Yes. It happened gradually. Now, just take the time and know that you're valued and you're worthy. right, of being safe and being loved and having a sense of belonging. So do what you need to do around it, and each individual is going to be different and each person is going to be different. And as you said, Fran, we could name out 100 different things. Go out and get, meet people, join a club, painting, go, walking, go. You could say all they're no good to somebody unless they have I suppose, unless don't feel so threatened by meeting people. And yes, it is threatening to meet people sometimes.
Of course it is.
That's the bottom line. And it's threatening to put yourself out there.
Well, that's for sure. But some very good advice there, some lovely advice there altogether. You mentioned the phone there, though, however. I'm always intrigued because I suffer from this a little bit myself. Some people find it very hard to make a phone call.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Really, really difficult to make a phone call. And I have to put my hands up here. I'm not sure why. Really, but I'm often afraid to make a phone call.
Okay, I wouldn't have that. No, I don't. Yeah, so that's interesting, isn't it? And it's curious. Then it's about, God, I wonder why it is that I'm afraid. And does it come up with certain people at certain times?
It's just kind of in general, just actually making
a phone call.
And I rarely would have spoken about it, except I met somebody recently and said, yeah, I'm exactly like that. I find it very hard to make a call. So I'm not sure, is it that social connection as well that you're afraid of to some degree?
It could be, or it could be maybe something happened to you in your story in regards to a telephone call, or maybe, you know what I mean? Something that...
Oh, that's very good.
It could be something, like there's 100 million different explanations there could be. What I've noticed is... like sometimes I'd have students who'd come in to where I work and, we'd be supporting them through their, I suppose, they'd be just coming in for experience. But what I've noticed is a lot of young people are hugely reluctant to pick up a phone.
Oh yeah, they all want to text now.
It's challenging. It's challenging to speak on the phone. No problem at all, pick it up and message somebody or anything like that, or do anything else with it that I'd be boggled looking at them going, how'd you do that? But it's just the whole speaking with somebody on the phone. But there's more connection with somebody when you speak with them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's what the problem is, you see.
Yeah. And it's not a problem, remember.
Yeah.
Because you put this in place to safeguard yourself. You know what I mean? So it's not a problem. It's to be curious around it. It's not that I need to fix anything because you're perfect the way you are.
So you just need to look at it.
You need to look at it. You need to acknowledge it. You need to think, is it okay for me? Am I comfortable with it?
Yeah.
Is it something that I'd like to make a change in? You know what I mean? Would I like to be in a different place? And how would that be for me? And how would I see myself there?
It's very interesting indeed. It's exam time as well.
Yes, and I've one going in tomorrow. Best of luck, lads.
Oh, very best of luck indeed. Yeah. It's a strange time, isn't it? It's an exciting time, but it's a...
Yeah. This is my third now, so I can honest to God say... It's so calm, it's not even funny.
All right, okay, very good.
So it's great.
Well, that's down to you, I'm sure. Well,
it's down to the house, I think. You know what I mean? There's no, oh my God, there's none of that. There's no, oh, it's on tomorrow, are you okay? There's none of that. Like, we all know it's on tomorrow. We all know that they're amazing, that, I saw it always comes up every year anyway. I saw it there on the news, I know it was this morning or last night, the way, there's a certain percentage of students now who say that they're so stressed out coming up to the Leaving Cert. Should we know that?
Yeah.
It's not a great exam, is it? We're not promoting their mental health by giving it to them. But the thing about it is look, this is where we are. It's the system we need to get through to get to out the other end of it. If it doesn't happen for you, it's okay.
Yeah.
There's lots of other ways to get in and get what you want. Don't panic. Stuff happens. Try and make it as light as possible between now and tomorrow, because that's just the way it is. Get as much sleep as you can. If they go up to bed 15 times today and you go up and they're in bed and they're asleep for 4 hours in the middle of the day, leave them off.
Leave them off,
yeah. It's about feed them well, yeah. Take care of them. Talk about stuff that's not related. Try and keep your mind off it. Bring the dog for a walk the legs off him. That's what it's about now. Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned all the other options. We do a lot of work with the ETB, Susan. I mean, there's so many options for people out there now,
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that you really can't do because you can go back doors into it. And
you can do everything. And the world is their oyster. Yeah. And I know they said it about our age, but it wasn't really, was it, Fran, compared to now?
Nah, will you look at where I ended up? Susan, a pleasure as always. If people want to talk to you, how can they do that?
Thanks, Fran. It's 086 3676 256 or info@emotionalwellbeing.ie. lovely. Thanks very much to everybody.
Thanks very much indeed for that, Susan. 1800 938 007. Now, the finalist in our Mr. competition is Chris Clifford from Woodenstown in Kerr. Well done to you, Chris. You're into the big draw for €200 this coming Friday, and we wish you the best of luck. That's it for me. As Stephen produced, the other Stephen is on the way with the Time Tunnel, and I'll talk to you tomorrow from Nina. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puckon. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puckon.